Welcome to Midnights with the Lizard Wizard, a podcast where Yael Midnight and I, Noel Midnight, listen through the entire King Gizzard discography from start to finish. This week we're listening to King Gizzard's 20th studio album, Omnium Gatherum, their third Oddments-like record. That is, to oversimplify, comprised of songs that didn't have anywhere else to go. Theme music recorded by Beautiful Trainwreck. And we're back. Yael, this week we got to dive all the way deep into Omnium Gatherum, a whole, 90 minutes of music. It was fucking exhausting. How are you doing today?
There is so much album here, but hey, we didn't actually have to do full 80 whatever minutes of music. We get to skip like 20 minutes of it, 18 minutes of it.
Right, because we don't have to cover Dripping Tap. That's right. If you're here for the first time and you wanted to hear us cover a full album, you're fucked. We did the Dripping Tap last time on the Hat Jam LP, which is where it originated, so technically we're correct.
We can talk very, very briefly about the Dripping Tap when we get into the track-by-track album go through. I don't even know what we do on this show anymore.
We theoretically talk about the content of the album and then we talk about it, but
we talk about it and then we talk about it?
Well, we do, but
that's so fair. Our episodes go so long.
And I want to clarify something really quickly up top. I should have said this right at the beginning. When I said, and we're back, what I did mean is, and we're back from Field of Vision. We had a great time. The weather was perfect. Nothing got rained out. We are happy as a clam with our experience. I'm so glad that we finally got to see the debut of Gizgrass.
This is the day before we leave for the trip that we are recording. You, dear listener, will probably have already been to Field of Vision. We probably met you there, which is awesome. It was so great meeting you. But that's in the future for us.
That is in the future for us. We have no idea what's going to happen at Field of Vision. There's still a giant 2.5 hour block of time that's marked off with question marks on the schedule. And that's where I think Billy Strings comes into the equation personally, but we'll see.
There is so much speculation about what's going to happen. All I know is I am so fucking excited.
Oh, yeah. We've spent the past 2 days trying to pack suitcases and make sure we haven't forgotten anything. And we haven't camped, the two of us, in ever.
I mean, yeah, we have never camped together.
Yeah. And I haven't personally camped in probably a decade.
It's been less time than that for me, which is surprising because I am an indoor girl.
You're an indoor girl.
I am an indoor girl.
See, I don't think any listeners so far would have picked that up.
The last time I went camping was my birthday weekend in 2020, right at the tail end of summer. The girl that I was seeing for a few months back then, it was fun. It was down at Cape Disappointment in the southwestern corner of Washington State.
What a great name.
Oh, yeah. Really beautiful spot. Had a great time, except for a work thing that happened right on the last day that kind of ruined it for me. But
sure, many such cases.
Don't check a work thing on your birthday while you're on vacation. Just don't do it.
There's really no call for it. So yeah, let's get into Omnium Gatherum. We, as we mentioned, already covered the Dripping Tap. I don't think we need to say much more about it. Do you have anything you want to say about Dripping Tap?
About the Dripping Tap? No, but let's talk about Omnium as a whole.
Sure, let's talk about Omnium as a whole. Overall, thumbs up, middle, or down?
Way up.
Way up.
Way up. So this is another one of their Oddments-like albums. This
one's definitely the most popular of the three Oddments-likes,
yeah,
right?
This is the third of 3 albums of Giz that are just a hodgepodge collection of stuff that either didn't make it onto other albums, there wasn't enough music of a particular genre to do one of their themed genre records. This is just sort of an eclectic collection of songs. We have jammy awesomeness of Dripping Tap. We've got synth loops like from Butterfly 3000. We've got hip hop. We've got more metal. And we've got some groovy jazz rocky shit that's fucking sweet.
Some weird ass bossa nova shit.
Yeah, there's a bunch of cool stuff on Omnium Gatherum. I gotta say, this record, it has so much going on, and it mostly fucks.
Yeah, and I think something that's worth noting right away is that it's kind of different from the other Oddments likes in that this one is kind of marked by COVID in a really specific, distinct way, which is they wrote a lot of this stuff before COVID, but then a lot of it also came in like when they first got together in the studio after having done all the quarantining. I can't talk today. I keep adding in random syllables or words where they don't belong or letters where they don't belong. I can't talk, and that's going to make this a really hard 2.5, 3, 4 hours. Fuck, I lost my thought. No. It's a COVID record. It came in, they were excited to get to jam back together in the studio for the first time since COVID. And so they all got together and they started jamming, and a bunch of stuff poured out that wasn't necessarily meant for any album in particular. And then they realized, oh, shit. We're sitting on a lot of material.
Yeah, so that's how they made the Dripping Tap, and I would say that quite a few of these songs were written that way, but certainly not all of them.
Stu did say that that's like the main through line of the record.
It really is a mishmash of a bunch of different things. Some of it is clearly not stuff that they were working on before the pandemic, but it was stuff that they got into during the pandemic when they were messing around at home, like how they were going bin diving at record stores for $1 or $2 records to learn how to do sampling and make music based on samples, which get 3 great tracks from Omnium Gatherum are based on samples. Mm-hmm. So it's not so much a COVID record in the way that like KG was, where all of the thematic content is COVID, but it certainly comes out of pandemic era experimentation. Mm-hmm. I think is fair to say. I
think that's fair to say, but also like it lives in that joy of, oh, we finally got back together.
Yeah, to an extent.
I think that's an important thing because there's so much of this that feels like it has to be live in studio to work. And it's really cool to see that they got to do that and they got to create some of these tracks.
Yeah, they're no longer just sending project files back and forth that each member of the band can open up in Ableton.
Right. Because let's be honest, that can work, but goddamn, that sounds exhausting to have to sustain.
It does. And in the behind the scenes video, the making of Omnium Gatherum,
I knew there was something I forgot to do.
That's okay. We get to see them for like 28 minutes doing, behind the scenes stuff. Most of the albums that they've released have some sort of behind the scenes video, and most of them are honestly kind of not that interesting. This one was fun because we got to see a lot more of the tracking process of, Stu alone in a room singing vocals or Ambi recording harmonica or, various guitars or who knows what. We actually get a fun moment where Ambi and his grandmother are recording Sadie Sorceress into an iPhone, which is really adorable.
That's great. I need to see that.
But for the most part, what we see is just sort of them having fun in the studio and doing a bunch of tracking. And they're also like doing a lot of dancing around as they're recording. And that dancing is really notable. They are having a good fucking time.
And I think that appears,
and I think that appears on the record.
Yeah, no, this is
it's not all an upbeat record,
but
and
it's
a lot
of
it is kind of depressing, but it is a fun record with a couple of tracks really, really standing out as being particularly like fun.
Yeah. And by a couple of tracks, you of course mean Grim Reaper and Sadie Sorceress.
I mean the Dripping Tap. I mean, of course, Sadie Sorceress and the Grim Reaper. I mean the Garden Goblin.
Sure.
Persistence. I think there's just a lot of these songs are fun.
Yeah.
But they are, very, very much a variety of different musical influences, a bunch of different things, some of which it's kind of obvious where it got cut from a previous record or possibly a future record.
Sure.
Some of it's not really clear to me, at least, and maybe it will be when I hear more of their records down the line.
Sure.
And some of it maybe just never had a home, right? Like the hip hop.
I didn't write it down, but I was reading a Stu interview where he basically commented, Yeah, this is a different record because some of these songs weren't intended for other records and they weren't intended to be part of other projects. They were literally written for Omnium because we knew we had a collection of songs that didn't fit anywhere else. And so we could write some songs that we knew wouldn't fit anywhere else.
Right, which is fucking awesome. And, you know, I think that's seen a lot on these hip hop tracks in particular.
Oh, yeah.
Where, given that they have said that they have made a hip hop record that they do not intend to release, but they did that after Omnium Gatherum, it seems pretty clear that like they don't want to do a full hip hop record. They just wanted to dabble in it a couple of times, and that's what they did here.
Feeling weird about doing a full hip hop record, and like they want to make sure they're going to do it right if they do it at all.
Yeah,
which is totally fair.
So reasonable. But yeah, I think that's fair to get started then. We should, you know, briefly mention the Dripping Tap. We did talk about it primarily on our last episode where we covered Made in Timeland, the Dripping Tap, and Satanic Slumber Party. The latter, Satanic Slumber Party and Dripping Tap together make up Hat Gem LP. We fucking loved the Dripping Tap.
Yeah.
It fucking rocks.
Continue to love the Dripping Tap.
Right? We had a lot of times where we were listening to this record over this last 2 weeks, listening to Omnium Gatherum over the last 2 weeks, taking notes, where we didn't have to listen to the Dripping Tap because, like, we knew we weren't going to talk about it in depth today since we already had, but we listened to it anyway because it fucks.
Right, because if you get the opportunity to listen to the Dripping Tap and you don't take the opportunity to listen to the Dripping Tap, then who the fuck are you? What are you doing?
Somebody who has exactly 60 minutes to listen to Omnium Gatherum.
Yeah, that's fair. Thankfully, I was never quite that time crunched except for this morning.
So yeah, Dripping Tap fucks. Listen to our last episode where we talk about it in depth. It's got a cool story behind it and has a lot of really great moments. But let's go ahead and start for real with Magenta Mountain.
Ambrose. Joseph. Stewart.
It's so weird to hear him called Stewart.
That's right. This is a song by the three men that we know primarily as our lead vocalists.
Yeah, and we are sort of told by Ambi on Instagram that this was originally a dream that Stu had that he was writing down when Ambi walked into the studio. I don't know if that's a true story or one made up for Instagram because like it fits so well with the theme of the song. And I like to believe it. I would really like to believe it.
I actually just want to read that quote from Ambi on Instagram. One day I came into the studio and Stu was trying to write one of them down, talking about a dream that he'd had. He kept banging on about this paradise called Magenta Mountain that he had seen, but none of us believed him. Every day since then, he's been still trying to convince us all that it's real, and one day he will. We're gonna get there. Oh yes, we're gonna get there.
Yeah, I don't really believe that story.
I mean, obviously, that means
exactly
that
what the song itself is about, and like, okay, it's about a vision you see in a dream, and it's a very Butterfly 3000-esque synth loop based.
Sure,
song.
But it's also Polygon Land.
It's also Polygon Land, but it's a lot of Butterfly 3000. It's got those synth loops, and Butterfly 3000 is also a lot about dreams and hope and very Magenta Mountain-y sorts of ideas. We also have references in Magenta Mountain directly to the concept of anamnesis, which we saw both, of course, in the song Anamnesis itself from Chunky Shrapnel, and referenced directly in Blue Morpho.
Yeah.
And we also have Clouds of Glue from the dream in Blue Morpho. So we've got direct references to Butterfly 3000, not just in the music, but also in the lyrics.
But I pointed out the Instagram quote specifically because I think it's important.
Oh, I agree it's important.
Because he says, we're going to get there. We're going to get there.
Polygon Land.
Right. The Magenta Mountain is in Polygon Land.
Yeah, I mean, I think
that's an important through line in order to understand the lyrics that come later in this song.
Yeah, I think that's so fair and a good call. Absolutely. And it's not fully a Butterfly 3000 song even musically, whereas Butterfly 3000 you're really basing everything off of those synth loops, which continue through the entire song.
Yeah.
In Magenta Mountain, the different sections of the song have different synth parts.
Yeah, and like the opening isn't even a loop at all. It's this really nice, big, melodic, like slightly vibrato modulated thing that just kind of sings.
Right. It repeats a bunch, which is why I was comfortable calling it a loop, but it doesn't feel like a loop in the way that the loops on the songs on Butterfly 3000 sounded. They are definitely much more melodic. They repeat, but they are more tied in with the melody than anything on Butterfly 3000 was. It's also, in my opinion, better than most of Butterfly 3000.
Oh, I would agree with that.
That's not necessarily because Butterfly 3000 is bad. It's just because Magenta Mountain is
very good.
Truly awesome.
Yeah.
It's so good. It's a song built on hope and not necessarily even hope, more like faith. It is a song about faith. It is belief without evidence that you believe in so strongly that you would stake everything on it. You would do everything you can to bring yourself and the people you love to this paradise.
Yes. And I think one thing that we see really interestingly in the lyrics is there's a conversation happening between characters.
Yeah.
There's one character who can see the mountain and another character who can't. And the one who can see the mountain at one point turns to the other one and goes, "What do you mean you can't see it?" And he just kind of sits in that silence for a second where it's like, "Hey, what are you doing? What it's right there." And the other person is claiming that they can't see it at all. And I think this is related to tetrachromancy.
Okay.
I think the person who can see it can see the fourth color, and the person who can't see it
is a color.
Cannot.
It is a shade that's under blue, we know, and magenta would be under blue.
That's all I'm saying. I think the mountain is only visible to people who have been granted the fourth sight.
All right. You know what? I'm into it. I'm here for it. Somehow today you've gotten me on a Gizverse connection. I didn't have that myself, but I like it. And musically, I think this song is put together so well. I love that the synth to me, that loopish melody is based
that
off
opening
of,
melody.
Yeah. It's like an oboe kind of patch, and it just sounds so good and lush and just very pretty.
It's almost like an oboe that's been slightly high-passed.
Yeah. It's very pretty and ethereal.
Yeah.
And the vocals on top of it feel a little bit more melancholy than the instrumentation.
Yes.
Which I think fits that. Is it real or is it not? I truly believe, but others don't. Right? It wants to believe maybe more than it actually believes.
Sure.
It really wants to believe. I love Ambi and Joey doing the chorus together.
Yeah.
Singing in harmony with one another.
I liked it the first time it's just Joey.
Yeah.
Because hearing that switch from Stu's voice to Joey's voice and just hearing the textural shift between their voices really locks in that chorus right away where you go, oh.
Yeah. And throughout this entire record, Omnium Gatherum, I think, is an evolution for the band in terms of coming together as a group making music rather than having mostly Stu ideas with occasional ideas from other people. Even occasional collaborations.
A collaborative record.
This is through and through a collaborative record. There are 16 tracks on this record, and the vast majority of them, for the first time ever, have multiple collaborators credited as writers. But that doesn't just come through on the credits. It comes through really throughout everything on the record.
Sure.
Almost all of them, or at least half of the songs, probably have multiple vocalists, and really most of them just could not be the songs that they are if they only had one. They feel like they have brought musical ideas together.
I think this is one of the first times where we've seen them come together as a group of vocalists specifically and go, oh wait, what if we tactically deploy you here and tactically deploy Ambi over there because your voices just suit these parts so well.
Right, and we've seen Stu give entire songs to Ambi, for example, when Ambi's voice would fit the song better than Stu's, but this is one of the first times we've seen that not just on one song at a time, but throughout the record with multiple parts. And Joey, Stu, and Ambi all have great voices and all have very different great voices that are now being used to much greater effect. My understanding of the band starting from this point and moving on is that we get a lot more of these co-written songs. Yeah. And a lot fewer, I think more importantly, of the solo written stuff. Yeah. And we've seen we see from some of the later songs on this record that maybe one person did initially come up with the idea and the demo and sent it around, but it didn't stay in that space. And there seems to have been a lot less Homerism where the person that created the demo takes the lead.
Except in the one case that involves Homer.
Except in the one case that involves Homer. We'll get there.
There was a video for Magenta Mountain, which I'm just going to fold in right now because it's a live video.
Yeah, it's not really a music video per se.
No, it's a really high quality live video directed by John Angus Stewart. It's beautiful, crisp, well mixed. It's
one of the best pro shoots of any individual song or show that I've ever seen.
Yeah, I don't know if he shot all of Timeland Festival or if it was just that song, but holy shit, I would love to see the rest of that show because this is shot so beautifully and it sounds so good. And right away at the beginning, the first thing that we see is Joey standing there with modular synthesis and an Arturia key step. And he's just like very carefully dialing in the intro to Magenta Mountain for like a solid 30 seconds before Cavs comes in with the drums, where you see him just kind of tweaking and playing like the first couple notes of the melody to make sure it sounds right. And
then it's really cool to see.
Kind of seamlessly as he's doing that, all of a sudden Cavs comes in and the song starts.
Yeah, it's fascinating to watch them work as a well-oiled machine.
Oh, yeah.
And also, just as a synth girly, I love seeing, the little modular setup in front of Joey and also another little modular setup in front of Cookie.
Yeah, it kind of feels like they're beginning to realize something about themselves that will come true later on.
Yeah, they're clearly a lot more comfortable with synths after their work on Butterfly 3000. They talk about that in some interviews from the making of Omnium Gatherum, especially when it comes to things like Evilest Man, a later track on this record. And it's fun to see them not necessarily beholden to guitars and really expand their skill set.
Yeah.
Overall, there's so much cool stuff going on in this song. We have really high energy drums that are mixed pretty high. Mm-hmm. And that's actually a feature of pretty much the entire record, is that the rhythm section gets mixed
really dominantly.
It's very crisp, and the kick and the bass really drive throughout the record. That's something I also thought was true on Gumboot Soup.
I feel like I've said this a lot recently, but this is a record where the bass drives the record.
Yeah, and I think that was also true on Gumboot Soup, one of the other Oddments likes.
Yes.
And I find it interesting that one of the few through lines in these mixed records without any particular genre is how strong and groovy they are.
Yeah.
How the drums and the bass dominate throughout. They're not overplaying, but they have this solid forward motion, this solid hook.
Yeah.
And even though all of these different genres are all together in one place, which can kind of be whiplash if you're not careful with your production, I'm not saying that they all sound like the same genre or that they all sort of belong on the same record, but they do sonically fit to some extent through that rhythm section.
Right. And Stu talked, I believe, in an interview with Spin about how this was a record where they got to stop writing a record and they got to start writing songs. And how, like, he's so used to writing stuff with the thought of, okay, so this is track 3 on the record, which means it has to fall
It's
in between
part of
this
this
and this.
story
It has to be
and-
that thing. Whereas in this case, he commented, now we get to do what every other band gets to do and write songs and put them together so we don't have a record that sounds like it's just one song.
Yeah, which, given that they've been explicitly trying to do a record that's just one song since way back in Mind Fuzz,
Right.
like, wild fucking turn from this
I would
band.
say that might even be one of their obsessions, which, good for them.
Yeah, and it's of course important to have obsessions, and we'll get there. I know you're trying to segue into the
I'm
next
not trying
song.
to segue. I was just trying to make a reference.
And we know that later on they're going to continue to try to do the one song thing.
Yeah.
So this is a really much a departure for them,
Yes.
but it's a departure that works. And
It's a departure that feels kind of like coming home.
I gotta say, this is, I think, probably the best of the three mixed records.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it doesn't
Gumboot-
have work this time on it, but that's okay.
I would say Gumboot is also really good. I really like Gumboot.
But Gumboot also doesn't have work this time on it.
But Hodman's is definitely the worst of the three.
Oh, yeah, for sure. For sure. Which is saying something because it does have work this time on it.
Yeah, Work This Time is really good. It's Got Old is really good.
God, we just watched their Bonnaroo set from 22.
Oh,
and
great fucking set.
what a great set. The pull of work this time in the middle of that set made me so bleeding happy. I was so just thrilled that we got to hear that. Oh, I'm so happy with this band right now.
Yeah. So I wanted to bring up a particular lyric that Stu sings in Magenta Mountain.
Yeah.
He packs his bag and his swag for the road.
Now, as we all know, swag means stuff we all get. So it's basically like when you go to a convention, they hand out like business cards or like little rubber bracelets.
Gift bags, yeah.
Yeah, gift bags. The bullshit you get at conventions that you throw away as soon as you get home, that's what he's talking about here.
Yeah, totally. That's what he's talking about. So, no. I want to mention this because I just love little Australianisms.
Okay, so this is an Australianism.
This is an Australianism.
Genius, when you click on the word swag, makes no reference to it being an Australianism. It's just the word swag with a hand thrown up doing the like hang loose motion. So they don't explain this on Genius, which means you have a scoop here.
So, for Australians, a swag is a bedroll.
Oh,
Like when you go camping, if you have a bedroll or like backpacking, if you have a bedroll that you wear on your back that you can take from place to place, that's a swag. So a swag man is somebody who would generally be
like a
itinerant
vagrant
like that. Could be a vagrant, not always. The word swagman in Australian history has been loaded at times.
I believe that.
Sometimes with connotations
Sure.
of like criminality,
That makes sense.
which of course has its own connotations in Australian culture with the whole like penal colony thing.
Sure.
But one of the most famous Australian pieces of cultural heritage is probably the song Waltzing Matilda.
I do know that one.
And Waltzing Matilda is about a swagman. Once a jolly swagman camped by a billabong.
I have never given an ounce of thought to the lyrics of Waltzing Matilda.
That is the opening lyric.
All I remember is the chorus.
Okay. Yeah, I mean,
I wasn't aware there were verses.
It's a fun song. So yeah, being a swagman or the idea of a swagman or the concept of a swag is kind of like actually important cultural context for Australia.
Sure.
And so when Stu is saying he's packing his swag for the road, he's not talking about like just a bunch of random shit from his junk drawer.
Right.
He's saying he's going on a journey.
Okay.
Right. He's saying that this is a journey into the wilderness that requires preparation and, bringing essentially everything you have with you.
Right, because the
Right.
whole lyric there is, I packed my bags and my swag for the road, followed the bows of the ancient railroad, need to rendezvous where clouds can't misconstrue, I'm certain that it's real. Magenta Mountain. So he's going on a trip in order to prove that this mountain is real, so that, because, yeah, that makes sense.
Like the American equivalent of of a swag would be like a stick and bindle. And
That's kind of what I was thinking, is like train hoppers. And...
Right, we'd be thinking about hobos, or I think more than vagrants, right?
Sure.
Hobo being a little bit more positive than vagrant. A hobo is, willing to work, but most importantly, travels.
Yes.
A vagrant travels, but isn't willing to work historically. A bum is somebody who neither travels nor works. Right here, it's less about the work, so maybe vagrant works, but it is about the destination.
Yeah, and that's important.
So it's not quite the same as hobo, but yeah, think of swag more like bindle. It's not necessarily your possessions when it comes to a swag. It's specifically a bedroll, but it's a term that's still used there for like if we were, we're going to bring a tent to field of vision. If you were carrying your sleeping bag on your back, that would be your swag.
Cool.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. Yeah. That's great.
One other fun thing about this song before we move on.
Yeah.
When they play it live, they did it at the Made in Timeland show that was recorded by John Angus Stewart and at Bonnaroo 22. And I don't think we've heard any more live versions than that. The two of us yet. But at least in those, and I would assume in others, they also add in fun guitar solos.
Which I love.
That just rip and are awesome.
Because we are in the jam era of the band at this point pretty solidly, I would say, yes?
Yeah, it looks like they're getting more comfortable with jamming. The Bonnaroo show definitely is a step up in what they've done as far as jamming goes.
Right. And, they did open the record with the Dripping Tap, which is jam in its purest sense, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. And so we're getting more extended versions of songs, and even though we don't see a like ripping guitar solo in the studio version of this track, it elevates the live versions.
Yeah.
And makes them, even more exciting and fun. I cannot wait to check out more live versions of this song and other stuff that they do and see how they differ from the studio versions, right? With the live stuff that we've seen so far, you and I, we often get stuff that is longer than the studio record or changed from the studio record, but if we're getting more of these, extended solos that aren't even, hinted at on the record.
Sure.
That's a fun deviation from what we've had before. Really, really, really enjoyable.
Because we talked about the video, I just want to point out a detail, which is that there's an actor in the live music video.
Yeah.
At Timeland. The actor John Dimowas, who was also in the video for Black Hot Soup's remix.
That's right, from Butterfly 3001.
Yes, he plays a security guard who walks the camera through the crowd at one point in the video. Like, okay, this is a guy that the band likes.
Yeah, I mean, fascinating choice, but okay, cool.
Yeah, that's okay. Yeah. Magenta Mountain, that's it. I think we did it.
Hell yeah. I mean, we're going to get there.
We're going to get there. And by there, I mean Kepler 22b, because that is the place for me.
All right. Yeah. How about you start off with this one?
Yeah. Kepler 22b. It's weirdly a Cookie song. It's Cookie, Stu, and Mamie McCall?
Barney McCall.
Barney. Oh, I just wrote that down wrong in my comments. I typoed it. Yeah. Barney McCall.
Yeah. Barney McCall. So this is the first of 3 tracks on this album, and the most unique of the 3 tracks on this album that was born from sampling. Right. And so I've got a fairly long quote that I want to read from an interview that the band did with Spin magazine.
Sure.
One pandemic activity we dabbled in was trying to make music out of samples. I was doing dollar bin world music LP buying. I had to not know what it was. It had to be either $1 or $2 and not in English. I was trying to figure out how to cut up samples and be creative with that. Cook and Joey and myself all fiddle around with that sort of thing. And that led to making Sadie Sorceress, The Grim Reaper, and Kepler 22b. Those were built out of samples that were chopped out of records we'd never heard before. They were all very fresh in that way. This particular sample was found by Cookie. He said in a press release for Kepler 22b, I actually found Barney's record at a store in New York. I hadn't heard any of the stuff before, but remember putting it on and being blown away straight up. I remember thinking, damn, this is literally a sampler's dream. It took me a while before I actually realized he was from Melbourne too. I guess it's funny that sometimes you got to travel halfway around the world to discover an inspiring piece of music made by someone who probably lives on the same block as you. So this record that Cookie picked up in a music store in New York was Melbourne jazz pianist Barney McCall's Yemaya 1 from his 2005 album Mother of Dreams and Secrets. It's jazzy piano that we're getting, at least in the sample. I have not heard the full song or record, I'll be perfectly honest with you.
No, but everything I've read seems to insinuate that this is like an improvised jazz piece that they took from.
Yeah, and it makes sense because this is one of the jazziest things that the band has ever put out.
Is it?
Jazziest sounding.
Jazziest
so far.
sounding. If you'd asked me to put genre labels on this, jazz would never have come to mind.
The piano that they are sampling is very jazzy. Because
Sure.
they're sampling jazz. And what they're doing with it isn't necessarily jazz, but there's such a touch of that jazzy piano throughout, and especially in moments where they essentially treat that sample as a solo,
Yeah.
that it has that feel for me.
Okay, cool.
So what would you call this? Because the other thing I could say that this is just piano rock.
I don't know what I would call this. I don't think I have a name for this genre.
And
I'm going to say that a few times on this record.
Yeah, and I think we get a few songs like that that fit with that Kepler 22b sort of sound on this record. And I'll tell you what, I love this sound. I think it grooves. It's just fun. It's got some odd harmonies on this one.
Yeah, which is weird because
vocals.
This is purely Stu on vocals as far as the performance credits go. They're saying
so
it's
he's
purely
doing,
Stu. So he's doing all the echoes that are cool. He's doing all the high parts.
Yeah, and in the Making of Omnium Gatherum video, there are moments where we see Stu tracking multiple harmonies. I honestly can't recall whether it's this particular song or another, but we see him multi-tracking his own vocals and doing the different harmonies throughout.
Yeah, and I think that's just rad as hell. Like I really love that.
Pretty great. We get more strong bass line, more strong drums in the mix. Mm-hmm. And we get a bass solo.
We get a bass solo.
We don't normally get bass solos.
There's a really cool drum break at one point that just blows me away. Throughout, you kind of have that piano tinkling, just like in the background from the samples. You got all that piano going on throughout, which is really, really cool. And then there's a drum bit break right before the first good for ya that ends with 3 sharp hits on the hi-hat, each one getting clutched really quickly. That just brings me so much joy. Because it brings the entire track to a halt without stopping anything. And then it just goes right forward again from there. It's beautiful. And I just love that. However, I've gotten ahead of myself. We've gotten ahead of ourselves. We've gotten this far without talking about what Kepler 22b even is.
Kepler 22b is an exoplanet. It's a planet that is not in our solar system.
Right.
It's particularly notable for being relatively Earth-like. So it's about twice the size of the Earth, and it is believed by many to be in the Goldilocks zone, that is far enough away from its star that it's not burning hot to the point where human life would be unsustainable, but also not far enough away to be so cold that human life would be unsustainable.
Which is basically an impossible needle to thread.
Right, and it's not even known for sure that Kepler 22b is in that zone. It's just possible.
Sure.
And so it is a favored exoplanet for people who like to dream about either intelligent extraterrestrial life or the possibility of a place where humans could go and live relatively comfortably.
Right. It is,
obviously,
for some people, our planet B.
Right. It's very, very far away. Like, we do not have the technology, obviously,
Sure.
to go there or to really think about that as anything more than a fantasy. But it is one of the sort of Earth-like planets that has been discovered that engages the fantasy.
Right. And so then we get to the lyric, like, can you guess the first thing I've seen on Kepler 22b? A telescope pointing back at me. Like, they've created this fiction where, like, you're looking at the planet and the first thing that you see is that the planet looks back at you. And you're like, oh shit, there's actual life. It's habitable and there's something there. And that's
not
so
just
cool.
Is there is life over there, but, you know, the idea of the aliens beyond the stars, the extraterrestrial life, they're just as curious about us as we are about them.
Which is ideal.
I mean, knowing how evil a lot of humans are, I hope that they're not as evil as we are. I hope that they're not looking at us like, oh, how can we colonize Earth?
I take it back. It's not ideal. Not ideal.
But yeah, so this is another kind of hopeful sounding song. You know, we've got our protagonist is a kid who always wanted to be an astronaut but didn't have the grades in school.
Right.
Specifically, they call out he wanted to be a part of NASA but didn't have the grades, which I find pretty funny because, again, this is an Australian band.
Right.
And NASA is famously American, but, you know, maybe the Australian space program doesn't have a fun acronym that is both, like, recognized and fits in the song. It doesn't scan, I guess.
When I think of participants in the overall global space race, I'll be honest with you, Australia doesn't really come up on my list.
I mean, they're all the way at the bottom of the planet, so I guess they
have farther to go.
Right, they have farther to go. They can't get out of the Earth. They would have to come here first anyway.
Right, and if they're going to come here anyway,
right,
they might as well play in Colorado. And
so
there is a music video.
Yeah, there is a music video. It's an interesting music video. It's got a lot of different kinds of animation.
Yeah, I think we could call this mixed media.
Absolutely. We've got a bunch of claymation. We've got like collage. We've got, you know, like hand-drawn illustration with crayon.
Yeah, lots of newspapers have been scribbled on with crayon.
Yeah, newspapers or books that have the drawings on them, and each individual drawing, of course, is on a different part of the newspaper or book, and so all of the text is flying by, you know, on one frame that's so different. It just ends up creating this cool texture.
Yeah.
Without actually being legible.
Right. Nor should it be.
Right, nor should it be. But it's a great texture. There's also something known as mistimation.
That's a new one to me.
MYST. It was also new for me. But I looked it up. This is a technique that was pioneered by Czech director Karel Zeman, which is not a director that is particularly well known in the US. Most of his work has not made it here. But it combines stop motion, hand-drawn, and cut-out animation with optical special effects. It became known in the US at first because of the US release of The Fabulous World of Jules Verne in 1961, which was by that Czech director, Karel Zeman. This particular technique of mistimation was used a lot by Monty Python's Terry Gilliam.
Okay.
So if you're familiar with some of Monty Python's work...
that's that cutout paper thing
animation,
where... Yeah.
Exactly. That's mistimation.
Okay.
And so we see a decent amount of that in this video, which is very fun. I find it very satisfying kind of animation to watch. And I guess I kind of always had an idea of how it was done.
Sure.
But I certainly didn't know the name for it other than sort of like stop motion paper collage.
So does South Park fall into that same category?
I don't know where the boundaries of it lie and what exactly might distinguish it from other nearby forms of animation.
Sure.
And I would hate to speculate on that.
Okay.
I didn't come across anybody using that as as an example of mistimation, and the examples I've seen of mistimation all have a very distinct look that the South Park style does not have. But I don't know why it wouldn't count, because what I have seen defining mistimation all comes from very similar sources that use very similar language and examples. And especially because the original artist's work isn't known here, I'm not sure how much clarity I was able to find, at least based on, not as much searching as I probably could have done, as to what exactly distinguishes it from nearby styles.
Sure. No, that's so fair.
But it does not look like South Park style animation. I just don't know why it wouldn't count.
Okay. That's so fair. But yeah, it's a great video, and I think that it's worth watching. It's not necessarily in the upper 50% of Giz videos, but it's certainly good.
Yeah, and if you are interested in what specific parts of that video count as mistimation, it's throughout the video it gets used, and but there are also sections of the video where it's not. One thing I can definitely say, absolutely mistimation. Near the end of the video, there's a bunch of eggs or egg-shaped images on screen, all with different patterns.
Yeah, Ambi, Stu, Joey.
That's actually very funny. That's actually very funny. But the various egg shapes on the screen, I'm pretty sure that's the mistimation.
Okay.
One example of it. Or just, look at Terry Gilliam.
Or just look at Terry Gilliam.
Who is not the big shithead from Monty Python.
No, he's a different, probably some flavor of shithead from Monty Python.
Pretty much
because let's be honest, they're all British. They're probably going to be
but at least
shitheads.
all of the rest of Python have looked at Eric Idle and gone, "Oh no, that guy's a real shit."
Right.
Eric Idle, you're canceled.
Which sucks because Eric Idle is the one who gets the royalties from Always Look on the Bright Side of Life.
Yeah. But he is the shithead. Disappointing.
Really disappointing. Next up, we get, I believe, Cav's only writing credit on the album.
That is correct. No, I'm sorry. Blame It on the Weather has a Cavs credit.
It does?
I think so.
Yes, it does. It does.
Yeah, Cavs, Andy, Stu, and Joey.
Cavs gets 2 songs on this record, and here's the first one. It's Gaia. Gaia is a Joey, Cavs, Stu song, and it opens...
That makes sense because it's a metal track, and that is our metal triumvirate right there.
That is our metal triumvirate. It opens with chugging. Big fucking chugging. Lots of goddamn chugging. These guys clearly listened to Meshuggah for like 10 minutes and said, okay, we can do that.
And this one, they wrote it in a way very unlike what they normally do. They started with the drums.
Which probably explains how Cavs got that writing credit.
Well, he's gotten it before on some of their metal stuff because they are the 3 of them that listened to metal before Giz. And Cavs has mentioned that this is his favorite on the record, or at least one of his favorites on the record, because it started from that drum beat and everything else came later. It's mostly in 9/8, which...
I noticed while I was trying to count it, that I was trying to count it in 4 at first.
It is not.
And then I caught myself trying to count it in 5.
Yeah, it's in 3 sets of 3, so 9/8.
Okay.
At least for most of it. And he's doing something very interesting where most of the song, he's really sticking to the various symbols for the rhythm and the embellishment. Obviously, he's got the kick drum in there, but he isn't really using the snare or any toms or anything like that at all. He's using a bunch of his different cymbals and just really riding on them in some interesting patterns. But then we have what I think are called breakdowns.
Sure, yeah.
I don't know. Like, they're not that much slower, so I'm not sure
if that
counts.
They don't have to be slower.
Where the cymbals cut out entirely. During the breakdowns, the cymbals cut out entirely.
Do they really?
Yeah.
I never noticed that detail.
Oh, yeah, entirely.
That's so cool.
Yeah, so we've got those 2 different sections of the song that we move in and out of with the drums really, really playing to what each section is. And that's kind of all I can say about the drums, because I don't notice drums in music very well, even on an album which has the drums taking such an important role like this one. I just have a weak spot there. So I was really proud of myself for noticing that. And if you want to talk about the drums anymore, that's going to be on you, because I can't.
I don't need to talk about the drums much. I think it's really interesting that the double kick does tend to stay pretty tightly aligned with the bass and the guitars on this one. Like, the chugs are all very much in unison. They're not doing a lot of polymetric fuckery with it. It's very simple. It's very straightforward. You hear what you get. It's just, there's so much chugging on the song. It is all chugging. And
so is chugging a riff?
It can be.
Is it
You can
here?
have chugging riffs.
Is it here?
Yes. The opening riff is for sure.
But the opening riff isn't really the chug. The chug comes after the riff.
Sure. But like, there's the vocal riff. There's the riff under the vocal.
See, okay, that just
Where
sort
it's
of...
just kind of playing that triplet feel.
Okay, and that counts as a riff?
I would call that a chugging like rhythm riff. Yeah.
Okay. Interesting. I'm not sure I know what a riff is.
Neither does anybody else. Like, that's the secret about riffs, is it's all vibes.
Because, yeah, that doesn't really feel like anything that I would have ever called a riff.
Sure.
But there's the part before the chugging that's a riff.
Right, because when you think of a riff, you want to go doom doom do 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 instead of just doom 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 doom.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. I don't know. There's so much interesting heavy shit going on in here. It's really a song that is driven by the vocals, though. Like, everything is driving it, but everything comes back to the vocal at the end of the day. It is a song that is about its vocal, and you hear that throughout the song. It's an environmentalist song about how we're killing the planet. Big surprise.
Right, because Gaia is the Greek personification of the earth.
Yeah, and so then you hear, like, everything builds up to hearing Stu go, "I am Gaia." And then the guitars come in really loud after he says that. Then everything comes in really loud. Then you get the big riff, and you just get to, like, hunker down on that as a breakdown for a second before it comes back into the song. And that's the hook of the song, is that big, like, you would almost think of that as a mosh call before, like, the breakdown bridge of a song in most cases, but they're saving that for the chorus now. They're doing that every single chorus. It's got the big "I am Gaia," big riff, big energy, really crunches down.
Yeah, and even though the vocals really are the centerpiece of the track and such an important, strong part of it, it is also relatively monotone vocals for what we've heard from them. I think the entire song, the vocals stay within a third.
Yeah,
top
probably.
to bottom. Like, "I am Gaia." That's two notes, right? And they're really close together notes. He's staying there in one register.
Yes.
And that's a little bit different from what he was doing on a decent chunk of Rat's Nest.
Yeah, no, this is a much more straightforward song.
And something that's different from what he does later on Predator X. This is, in large part, a fairly, I don't want to say simple, because Lord knows I couldn't play it, metal song.
It's fairly simple, even if it is fast.
It is fast, and I think the drums are doing something pretty complicated.
Sure, but like on guitars, I could pick this up pretty quick if I just practice with a metronome for a week.
With one exception.
Is that the riff that they stole from Black Hot Soup?
I was going to say it's the solo.
Oh.
There's a ripping guitar solo that sounds a little bit out of place with everything else being just super metal, because it's not really a metal solo. It's more like a Santana solo near the end of the song. Like, it's awesome. It's so cool.
Sure.
And, you know, I'm no metal expert. I imagine it is a metal solo.
I need to listen to that solo again. I didn't take any notes about the solo or even that it exists.
Oh, no, there's a huge section towards the end of the song where right before that last Gaia, that was way too low.
No, that's okay.
That the bass and the guitar just sort of play with each other.
Okay. I noticed the bass solo being really cool.
Yeah, and they sort of interplay for a while, but towards the end, the guitar just sort of goes off on its own, and it's got this great, like, very much rock solo, like very
Okay.
Santana.
Okay, cool. Huh. I will listen closer for that next time.
And it's actually not the last time I'm going to mention a Santana style solo on this record.
No, it is not. But this song is in drop B, which is notable because normally we see them playing in C sharp, and this time they just took that low string and they dropped it down a little bit farther. Good for them.
Yeah, that's a very low tuning.
Very low tuning. I mean, at that point, you should be playing on 7s, not 6s.
Right, because then you've got the B anyway.
Yeah, then you've got your natural B, yeah. It's a great song. There's a section that has like almost a siren sound behind it that feels like Godzilla.
Do you mean siren as in alarm, or do you mean
Alarm.
siren as in, like, the Odyssey?
Siren is an alarm. Siren is in like there's a big... Yeah, that feels almost Godzilla-y. Just as he's going, I am Gaia. And it just feels like, oh, we've got this giant monster that is roaming the earth, which I know isn't true. It's a song about the earth. But like...
I mean, the monster that's, roaming the earth is the one that's killing the earth.
That's true. Ugh. And that's all I have to say about Gaia, which means we can move on to...
Ambergris.
By Joey.
Yeah, so this is...
solely by Joey.
This is Joey only, and I would not have guessed that except for two things. One, obviously, he sings all of it.
Sure.
And secondly, there's just a moment in the middle that we will get to.
Yep. We'll call it the breakdown.
That is very Joey. But this is another one of those, what really is the genre songs?
A little bit. It's like the synth sounds are all very 80s, right?
Yeah.
The synth sounds are pretty solidly from the 80s. They're inspired by that decade. And that's about where I leave off on being able to pin down what this is.
It's funky. The bass has a very funk sort
Right, there's
of
a lot
feel
of like
to
slapping and popping on the bass, yeah.
Joey said that it has George Harrison vibes.
I don't think I've listened to enough solo George Harrison.
Yeah, so this is something he says in the Making of Omnium Gatherum video. It's one of the few things that we actually can hear of commentary from anybody as they talk a little bit about this song. Joey says it has George Harrison vibes. Ambi says it's sexy as hell.
I wrote that down a few times.
Which, yeah, absolutely. If you think of like Careless Whisper kind of sexiness, like that over the top,
yeah,
like very 80s sound. We're
I'm
getting a
gonna
lot of
read
that here.
directly from my notes here for a second. Joey's falsetto is infectious. He's so sexy here. God, the bass line is so sexy too. This song is just sexy. I love that after the clanging, it just goes right back into being sexy. This too is BDSM.
And it's amazing for a song to be described so universally as sexy when it's about ambergris, which is pretty gross, and also has lyrics about dog sweat and was originally titled Dog Sweat.
Sure.
In the production process. So let me talk a little bit, for those of you who don't know, what is ambergris?
Everyone knows what ambergris is. They've all seen that one episode of Bob's Burgers.
So yeah, ambergris is a solid, waxy, flammable substance of a dull gray or blackish color. I'm quoting directly from Wikipedia. Produced in the digestive system of sperm whales. It is not, as many people think, vomited up by
It comes out of their
whales,
blowholes, right?
It is digested and, excreted. It is shit out.
Excreted. Oh, okay. I thought it was blowholes for some reason.
No, it is shit out.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's pretty gross.
Cool.
So unfortunately, right, it would be fun to think it's vomited out because that would fit so well with Stu's love of vomit as theming. But it's not. It's grosser than that even somehow. It has a marine or fecal odor when it's fresh and a sweet earthy scent when it's aged. And so it's been highly valued by perfume makers throughout history until they started using synthetic materials instead. It's primarily used by perfume makers as a fixative. So it's there to make the other smells in the perfume last longer rather than as a scent in and of itself.
Interesting. I didn't know that was a thing.
Yeah, it has been used historically also as food.
Yes, I saw something about that on KGLW.net where like there was a king who really liked to eat it or
King
something.
Charles II of England, the king that was so despised, it sparked the English Civil War. liked ambergris and eggs, which
Okay.
I don't think I would eat that. But you know what? I'm not a king of England. And also relevant to this song, dogs are attracted to the smell of ambergris and are used in part by those who are seeking to find ambergris for the payday because they are attracted to the smell and will go, seek it out.
Okay. And that's what ambergris is. Thank you
yeah.
thank you for Yael's vocabulary corner.
Yeah, and as Noel mentioned, ambergris is the subject of an absolutely excellent episode of Bob's Burgers. That is season 4, episode 18, Ambergris. It's also a very relevant part, a key component of the plot of an excellent episode of Futurama, which is 300 Big Boys, the episode where they all get a $300 surplus check from Nixon. And Leela goes to swim with Mushu the whale. And Kif buys Amy a watch, which ends up in the whale's stomach. Kif goes to get the watch and ends up arrested because he is covered in the precious ambergris, defined for us by a hologram of Roseanne Barr.
I fucking love that show.
Season 5, episode 11, based on what is it? Based on the actual order that the show was broadcast order. I couldn't remember the word broadcast.
That's so fine, because that's what you're doing right now is you're broadcasting, because you're abroad and you're podcasting.
I'm going to kill you. I hate you. That is the worst thing that anybody's ever said to or about me.
Yeah, that's what I'm here for.
Lucas has said that this is one of his favorites. No, I'm sorry. Lucas said on Reddit that this is his favorite song on the album.
Yeah, which is great because it's such a good song and it's so sexy and it's so much fun.
So sexy.
What decade would you call this song?
I mean, we've mentioned the 80s a couple of times.
Okay.
It's slower. It's got, again, that sort of jazz funk sort of sound.
Yeah. It's a type of song that if I heard it from any other artist or out of context, I would probably bounce off of it pretty sharply.
Yeah, and I was wondering about that because my first thought when I heard this song, something I wrote down immediately, was that it felt very Steely Dan to me. Okay.
I've never heard Asia. I should probably hear Asia.
And you have hated Steely Dan.
Have I?
When I'm not a huge Steely Dan fan, but I like Asia.
Yeah.
I think that people who really getting mad about Steely Dan's existence are being a little performative a lot of the time.
Sure.
You don't have to love the band, but why do people hate Steely Dan to the extent they do?
Oh, it's because of that one producer who built his entire career talking about how much he hated Steely Dan, and then he died and he was still talking about how much he hated Steely Dan.
Yeah, was that Albini?
That was Albini, yeah.
Yeah. You know what? Fuck you.
Yeah.
You don't have to love Steely Dan, but they really did their own thing, and they created a sound that was kind of unique at the time that has sort of since been reclassified as a kind of soft rock or yacht rock, which
Sure.
I don't think yacht rock, this isn't Margaritaville.
No.
But it's got, soft rock, piano rock, or, jazz fusion-y inspiration. It's definitely not jazz. And I think that that's kind of similar to what ambergris sounds like. And if we had to go with a comparison for some of these songs, like Kepler, like ambergris, I think you could do worse than comparisons to Steely Dan, which is why I thought it was so funny to see you when we were listening to this album for the first time and not talking about it at all. The moment I was writing down, this sounds like Steely Dan to me, you were bopping your head along, really enjoying the groove. And I'm like, Noah would have hated this if he didn't know that it was Giz.
Yeah, a year ago I would have hated it.
Just bounced right off of it. And I wonder now if you'd be more willing to accept the sounds of an album like Asia, or if you'd still bounce off them.
I think that King Giz has opened me up to a lot of sounds I wasn't previously open to.
Oh, I mean, same.
I'd never given any thought to psych rock as a thing at all in my life until we started this podcast. And now I've got so much fucking psych rock in my algorithm all day, every day.
And you're not upset about it because the psych rock is awesome.
I'm largely not upset about it, except for when I really, really do want it to just feed me some fucking metalcore, and now it won't because it's so hung up on giving me Frankie and the goddamn witch fingers.
Frankie isn't my favorite as far as psych rock goes, but you know what? I like psych rock, and I'm okay with Frankie.
I like Frankie. Frankie is one of my favorite psych rock bands I've found.
Okay, hell yeah.
Up there with like Doomgong.
Doomgong's great. I mean, there's just so much.
We can't just list off psych bands. We're going to be here forever.
Right, but there's so much good psych rock. But yeah, I mean, both a lot of metal and electronic music is stuff that I'm listening to a lot more of now because of Giz.
Now, something I'm not going to listen to more of because of Giz, but that I already enjoyed is, I don't know, white boys rapping.
Oh, boy. Oh, boy, we have the Shrimpomaniac next. We sure do.
Let's talk about Sadie Sorcerers, which is a Stu, Joey, Amby, Mason, Reed song.
Yeah, so Mason and Reed are the original credited writers of the original source for the sample that they got here.
Right, because they sampled a cover.
Right. The sample that they actually recreated this sample rather than, I think, sampled it directly.
Oh, interesting.
Which is an interesting choice, I would say, especially to be making hip hop.
Sure.
But yeah, they recreated a sample for the intro of the song Je ne suis rien sans toi. I mean, I don't speak French, so I hope I did that okay.
I was really, really hoping you had that in your notes because I didn't want to try to say it.
By French singer Mireille Mathieu, which I think I pronounced even worse than the song title.
Yeah.
From 1968. That song itself is a French reinterpretation of I'm Coming Home by John Mason and Leslie Reed, made famous by Tom Jones.
Yes.
So, long history of this particular sample. It's gone through a couple of different interpretations.
I love how Stu's like, I want to get music I've never heard of in a language that isn't English, and then he picks a Tom Jones song.
Yeah, and then a jazz thing from Melbourne. This is, however, straight up a hip-hop track. I know on our last episode, you heard Noel and me talk about the Shrimpomaniac rapping and said, hey, we finally have like some real rap verses from the Shrimpomaniac, because we had heard on LW some not rap, some pseudo rap.
And we heard at the, like, back in 2014, I think, there was one live set where he rapped incoherently. He rapped for like 30 seconds in the middle of one of their live shows. I remember us going like, well, that was weird. I hope we don't get more of that.
But this is a full-fledged actual hip-hop track.
Right. Like, this isn't pretending to be like faux hip hop. This isn't like
sneaking
putting
one
on
verse
the
into a completely
right.
non-hip hop track. This is hip hop through and through.
This is a love letter to hip hop, even.
And specifically an early, like, not that early, but like a 90s hip hop.
Right. Like if you
Beastie
listen to
Boys.
this and you don't compare it to Beastie Boys, I'm questioning who you are, because it's clearly stealing from the Beastie Boys pretty strongly.
Right. And the lyrics are silly. They're about a really cool witch.
Yeah. Who's fly like Quidditch.
Ugh. Okay. We do have to talk about that line.
We do have to talk about that line. Guys, it is 2022.
It's 2022. We already knew in 2022 that J.K. Rowling is one of the biggest transphobes on the planet.
I think unquestionably at this point, the biggest transphobe on the planet, and at that point, definitely on her way.
She is a truly evil woman who is actively using her money to harm people like Noel and myself and the people that King Giz has made it part of their career to support.
Right. Which makes this so fucking weird. Like, why would you pick Quidditch of all things to throw in your line? Is it because you really, really wanted to rhyme with Glenfiddich? Is that it?
And it wasn't maybe as known to cis people in 2022 as it is now that Rowling is evil.
Rowling
is evil. But it certainly was known. And it is an unfortunate lyric that unfortunately I hear every single time I listen to this song and go, oh, I really wish it wasn't there.
Yeah. Yeah, it kind of whips me out every time.
And otherwise, it's such a cool song.
Right.
Not necessarily, I think, like a staple of hip hop for years to come.
No, but like for a band that's never put out a full hip hop track before, to have this as their first one,
it's fun.
It's pretty good even.
And yeah, I think that Ambi, as it turns out, actually has some pretty good flow and some good rhymes. It's not necessarily easy rapping either.
Sure.
He's mixing up, syllable counts in each bar.
There's a lot of like play with rhyme structures. It's not just all simple rhyme.
Right. A bunch of different rhyme structures and a bunch of different meters. Like, he's actually a pretty decent rap vocalist. The lyrical contents of the song are silly, and we've seen Giz be silly before, and that's okay. And it's not like hip hop has to be serious. It is a little like, okay, yeah, I guess if you're a white boy doing hip hop, sometimes you're just going to end up sounding a little silly, so may as well be silly.
And this is a silly song about a witch, and that's pretty much all it is.
Right, and the other hip hop song on the album is another kind of silly track as well.
Slightly less silly, I would say.
Yeah, but still silly. That said, I absolutely love Ambi using his grandmother, his nonagenarian grandmother, as the voice of Sadie Sorceress.
Right, because she was 97 or 98 at the time, depending on whether you're basing that off of a tweet or an Instagram clip, because they kind of posted conflicting information on that. So either 97 or 98. And she's putting together these clips for her grandkid, which
she clearly doesn't love the music or care that much, but she wants to do something for her grandson, which is adorable. And you do see in the Making of Omnium Gatherum video just Ambi sitting on the couch with her, with the iPhone in front of her, as she's singing a line, and he's coaching her through the line, and it's just so heartwarming and lovely. There's
it's wholesome.
It's wholesome. There's a photo in one of their Gizzy Mail newsletters of her striking a hip hop pose with a beanie on.
Fantastic.
With Ambi, and I love this very, very old woman just being there for her grandson. Obviously, we know that Ambi comes from a very musical family.
Yes.
But it's a very different kind of music than this. And it's so delightful.
It's wholesome. It's wonderful. It's just pure fun. And that's what Sadie Sorceress is. It's just pure fun. If you have reservations about whether it is okay for Ambi to be doing this, I think we just knocked those away completely. I think that he delivered so hard that you have to look at it and go, okay, you get at least a little bit of respect, because that was pretty fun.
And yeah, he's not trying to, I think, appropriate anything here.
No.
He's having fun with the kind of music he likes. Stu said in that Spin interview, Ambi has always had one foot in that world, meaning the hip-hop world, and has been super keen to pursue that with Giz one day. That was making music out of samples, which is a piece of hip-hop culture. It just naturally evolved, and the logical next step was to get some shrimp bars on there. It was a very natural thing. And after some of our earlier exposure to the pseudo-rap or the actual rap that Ambi has done, I gotta say, I had some reservations about just whether he was good enough. And yeah, you know what? Dude's got rhymes.
And I already mentioned it, but we watched that Bonnaroo set.
Yeah.
And we got video of them doing... Did they do Sadie Sorceress on that set or just Grim Reaper?
I think it was Grim Reaper.
We get footage of them doing one of the rap tracks. And it's really fun to watch because Ambi comes out there and he's champion of the stage, doing all of his shit on his side of the stage, while Stu is in the middle of the stage. And it was Grim Reaper. I remember this because Stu's holding the flute.
Yeah, they've only played Grim Reaper,
but Stu's there,
and not Sadie Sorceress on that.
Doing the Beastie Boys backup vocals the entire time, and pairing all of Ambi's vocals the entire time. And it's really cool to see that and see Stu is still up there in a support role, like making sure this happens, even though it's clearly not his thing that he put into motion at all. Like, he's still one of the like biggest contributors to making it sound the way it sounds.
Yeah, and I want to talk about this more when we get to the Garden Goblin in a couple of songs. It is, like we said, a very collaborative album where, regardless of who originated an idea, everybody is putting in all of the work to get this done and to make it cohesive. And, you know, we're not just letting one person make a song and throw it on the record. We are building these all together and giving it 100% every single song.
Yeah.
That's very, very apparent in The Garden Goblin, and I think that's apparent on these hip-hop tracks as well.
Yeah.
Especially the Grim Reaper, maybe less so on Sadie Sorceress, which feels very amby.
Yes.
But there's a reason that Stu and Joey are also both credited as writers here. We missed the important part of Ambergris in the middle that makes it such a Joey song.
Yeah, let's go back and talk about Ambergris for just a second. In the middle of Ambergris, there's a breakdown, I guess. We'll call it a breakdown, where it's just like big, loud, clattering noises, like metallic clanging noises.
I'm not really sure I would call it a breakdown because it's just like a bar.
Sure.
But yeah, there is just a section in the middle where everything cuts out except for just like banging, clanging sounds.
Yeah, like very industrial sounding, like stuff clanging together, very musically put together. So it's like,
it's still like on beat.
Yeah.
But everything else drops away from this song that remind you is like sexy, like smooth, like funky pop rock fusion. It's very out of place.
Very out of place.
And
when we first listened, I remember we each looked up from our notes as we were listening and then immediately looked back down and started typing.
Yup, we both like just sort of glanced at each other like, you heard that, right? Without saying anything and just started writing again. And I did read on kglw.net, I believe, from Timeline is Wacky, I think it was Timeline is Wacky that wrote that particular one, but I could be wrong. Oh no. I read the comment that that's supposed to represent like the ambergris actually moving through the digestive system of the whale.
Sure.
I don't know that I'll be honest, ambergris itself, just like as a song, it's about the ambergris and it's about like, it's from the whale's perspective sort of, and it's about like, hey, you're harming me with this industry, I think.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if it's also a metaphor for like people or if it's an environmental thing. I don't know. This song, honestly, like meaning wise kind of confuses me still.
A little bit. Yeah.
That's Joey for you. Like Joey likes his sort of esoteric meaning.
I think the only thing that really points out what the song is about to me is the line in verse 2 where he sings, CFC's not my intellect.
Right. So
where they're talking about like the shit from aerosol cans to deplete the ozone.
Right.
Are bad for whales.
Which, and so, like, makes it suggest that, it's an environmental track.
Yeah.
But it's certainly not the most clear and obvious environmental track that they've ever written. But yeah, that clanging makes it very Joey, and I don't think it's obvious sort of like why it's there.
No.
But it is interesting.
Yeah, it definitely gives you pause, and it's something that like I would love to throw that song on for people just randomly without teasing them about it at all, and just like watch their reaction the first time that happens.
Oh yeah.
I think that'd be really fun. But we've gotten off track now. It's time to get back on track, back on the rails. It is time to talk about, in fact, The Evilest Man.
Not to be confused with Evil Man, which was a track on their second LP, Eyes Like the Sky.
I was really hoping that this was going to be like a spiritual like successor to Evil Man, and that we were going to get a song that was again narrated, and
or just like somehow in the world of the spaghetti western that they gave us.
I was kind of hoping for that when just going off the title, and then it started playing, and I went,
"Yeah, it is not that." So
this is a Stu song.
This is a Stu song. It is, in fact, the first song on the entire record that is written by Stu alone,
which is
wild given what we've seen before.
Right.
It took the 7th track on the album until we got Stew Alone. In fact, there are only 3 other tracks on the 16-track album that are Stew Alone. They all come towards the end. So 3/4 of this album were written either by a group of people or somebody other than Stu.
Which is wild, because in my mind, I've always slotted King Gizzard as being like the overarching project above Pipe Eye and Boland and the Murlocs and everything else. And I've thought, okay, so everybody has these side projects, and that's their thing. So this is Ambi's thing, this is Joey's thing, this is Lukey's thing.
Cookie's thing, yeah.
But King Gizzard, no, that's Stu's thing.
Right.
It's always been slotted in my mind.
And I think
now I don't know.
That was historically true, I think, because Ambi has talked about in interviews the idea of, well, he was one of the last to join the band, if not the last to join the band. He was always younger than the rest of them. And so he kept Murlocs around in large part because he was always afraid of getting kicked out of Giz, because he wasn't good enough or didn't play, the right instruments, being the harmonica player.
Right, because early on in their career, there was a lot of him just kind of like standing there and dancing.
And, right, this was Stu's project. It was mostly Stu's music, and other people would get to play or write songs, but overall, it was a Stu project. Overall, It was a Stu band, and that seems to be changing in the post-COVID era, and especially with Omnium Gatherum, and hopefully moving forward.
And I've heard people who have stated like, yeah, starting at like Butterfly 3000 or Omnium, that's where I start to fall off a little bit, because it doesn't feel the same as it was before. And I think that might be part of it, is that these people might just really like Stu's particular sensibilities. And once we stray from this being Stu's project and becoming much more of a band collaborative thing, then yeah, if you were only here for Stu, you're going to fall off a little bit, aren't you?
Yeah, and I've also heard other people saying that this is the start of the sort of the second golden age of King Giz.
Yeah.
And that might also be part of it, either because of the live jam stuff or because there's going to be more other sensibilities, like you using your language there, in the song creation. And from what I have heard, which again is just like comments on Discord or Reddit,
yeah,
it has become in recent albums very rare to see fewer than like 4 credited writers on a song.
That's wild to me.
So this, I think, is the start of that. But yes, Evilest Man is a Stu solo song. It's a rock song here, but at the start of it, it kind of sounds like the end of Acheron.
See, I was going to say, this sounds to me like a Butterfly 3000 song that went through... It feels like a Butterfly 3000 song that was written for Fishing for Fishies.
Okay.
And then they went, but what if we turn it into a giant rock song instead of having it be this electronic thing?
So interesting,
And
because
so
it actually happened the opposite way.
Really? It
Yeah.
feels like it's these two ideas, the rock world and the electronic world, that are being bashed together.
It is that, but it happened in the other direction.
Okay.
Because you're kind of right about the Fishies thing. It was written in either 2019 or even earlier. And we know this because it was written and recorded initially at their old studio.
Okay, which was 2019.
2019 was the last time they were in there. And so it has to have been at the latest 2019, and it was originally written as a rock song.
Okay. And see, the reason I got the FFF thing in there is I know that that opening bit is...
Very Acheron.
Well, it's literally from Cyboogie.
Okay, fair enough.
The opening bit is a synth line from Cyboogie that has just been slowed down by like 200%.
Interesting. Okay. So, yeah, I wrote, that it's synth arpeggios that reminded me, rather, of Acheron, but that it kicks into a rock song. There are synths throughout. What Stu said is this was originally written as a rock song, but it was remade with more synths after they got comfortable with synthesizers as instruments with Butterfly 3000.
Okay.
So it was a rock song that I guess just either didn't have a home or didn't fit very well with anything else, or just maybe wasn't good enough.
Okay.
That once they had a comfort with synthesizers, they were able to make it into something new. Because we have this butterfly-like synth pattern, although it's not this full loop. It's more like a percussive bass line.
Right.
With the synth. And otherwise, like, the rock aspect of the song, it's not quite like Kepler 22b or Ambergris, but it's still closer to that than it is to a lot of what else we get from them.
See, I was going to say the rock feels like it's straight out of Mind Fuzz.
Yeah.
Like, it feels like this was a song that was written to be part of one of their Mind Fuzz Nonagon rock albums, and it's stopped being that at some point.
Yeah, it just sort of sits in this weird floaty space between a bunch of different things, because it is a bunch of different things.
Right. And one thing I really noticed that serves this song well, better than Butterfly 3000, is Stu's falsetto.
Yeah, and we're kind of critical of the falsetto on KG and LW, it being sort of overused.
This record is fucking packed with falsetto, and it's beautiful.
But it seems a lot more natural and fitting.
Yeah.
Throughout this record than it does on, say, like If Not Now Then When from LW.
Right, because in Evilest Man, when Stu's up in his falsetto, that's when the rock is going on, and so he's not competing with high synths at that moment. Whereas the one you just mentioned,
If Not Now Then
If Not
When.
Now Then When, he's up there in the high part, the keyboard's up there in the high part. It's really just like everything's
really
competing for
high.
that same sonic space.
So yeah, this is a weird song sonically. It doesn't really sound like much of anything else they've done. It is, I kind of want to see the band Lawrence cover this song. I feel like Gracie Lawrence, the singer, has a great voice that could really be do something interesting with this track. They don't really sound like this song, but I think they do a good version of it. They would never do this song. I think
It's
this
way
is
too political
way
for
too
them.
political for them, because they're definitely a like play to the crowd sort of band, and
They're a Nepo Baby band that acts like a Nepo Baby band.
They are a Nepo Baby band that acts like a Nepo Baby band, and that is a shame because they have so much talent.
Right.
But, if they wanted to get away from that, make a song about Rupert Murdoch explicitly calling him the evilest man.
Sure. You know what I want to hear Lawrence do?
What do you want to hear Lawrence do?
I want to hear Lawrence team up with Phineas.
Okay, that could make for an incredible project. Again, if they were willing to drop some of the safety.
Yeah.
Not that, Phineas is inherently this dangerous, musician.
I mean, he's done singles about school shootings and
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
he's also
he's
made safer
vaguely political.
Right, and he's also made safer music as well.
Yeah, he walks that line of professional
But I think he's mostly just obviously I don't think that he's only doing safe music. He's also just a very good producer that I think would sound good with them.
Phineas, for those of you who don't know him, is Billie Eilish's brother. He's produced all of her records. He has his own very, very successful career where he puts out incredible music and produces it, and it's just gorgeous. I highly recommend him as listen to him as a producer, because his fingerprints are beautiful.
Absolutely. And his work with the duo The Dreams.
Yes, it's him and Ash.
Yes.
ASHE. The Favors, not The Dreams. The Favors.
Yes. The Dream is the name of the Favors album.
Yes.
Phineas and Ash together. It came out last year, September 2025. It is a spectacular record. One of my favorites that came out last year. Just truly gorgeous. The song Times Square Jesus. Just so goddamn good.
It's Times Square Jesus. It's The Little Mess You Made.
The Little Mess You Made.
Someday I'll be back in Hollywood.
So yep.
Jesus Christ.
Great fucking album. Please listen to it. It makes me so happy. Anyway, Evilest Man. It's about Rupert Murdoch, who is not just an evil man in America, but also an evil man in the UK and also an evil man in Australia. He is originally Australian.
I actually didn't know that before we started this episode.
He gave up Australian citizenship when he got American citizenship. He is no longer an Australian citizen, but he did originate in Australia and probably ruined their country before he ruined our country. But he is ruining at least 3 countries.
Good for him.
So, yeah, this song is about all of the evil that he does, pushing his far right-wing agenda through his control over media in the UK, the US, and Australia.
If you're American, you probably know him best from his work with One Fox News.
Yeah, he actually probably has a less control over American media than he does over the media in the other 2 countries, which is saying something.
Sure.
Just because I think he has more ownership of more big news sources in those other countries, but we know how bad Fox News has fucked up this country.
Yep.
And it also references directly scandals that his News of the World newspaper, back when that was an ongoing concern, was responsible for in the UK, particularly with scandals over hacking cell phones of important figures, of celebrities, of the British royal family, and of other just important and influential figures. It references Operation Nigeria, which was a British government investigation into illegal activities that Murdoch and his companies were responsible for, where they were paying lots and lots of money to informants who were information dealers who would go out and do illegal things to get information that was considered newsworthy, and were being paid yearly sums of money.
Wait, so he was paying people
to break the law,
to create news,
to find the information.
To find the information.
Right, to find newsworthy information about public figures.
Okay.
Or private figures, right? So they would go and hack into the phones and publish voicemails, or publish information from voicemails, private voicemails from well-known public figures.
Stuff that would be considered inadmissible in court, he was still just taking and publishing.
Stuff that would be considered theft to get in the first place. Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, and so he was paying, $150,000 a year to an informant to go do this stuff. And the British government bugged this guy's office and found him bragging about these payments and went after him when this informant started talking on these in this bugged room about planting cocaine in a woman's car to frame her for drug possession as part of a rich person's divorce proceedings, that he paid the same informant to, get his divorce to go more smoothly for him. Pretty gross stuff.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I don't love that.
Yeah. The guy ended up also getting caught for he was accused of murder.
Cool.
A bunch of evil stuff.
Yeah.
Now, News Corp themselves or Murdoch isn't responsible for the cocaine planting. That's just the same guy that they paid.
Okay.
But yeah, Murdoch and his group, Murdoch and his companies, both very, very evil based on their news, their opinion, and also their business practices. Truly, truly heinous stuff. And Stu calls them out here. Murdoch, you're canceled.
Rupert Murdoch, you are canceled. And I can't think of a better way to follow up a giant conversation about Rupert Murdoch and all the evils in the world and everything terrible that we all loathe and hate. There's nothing better to follow that up with than The Garden Goblin.
Yeah, Cookie.
It's a Cookie Stew song. It's The Garden Goblin. It's the most Beatlesy they've ever been.
In the sense specifically that this song reminds me of Octopus's Garden.
Sure.
We have a member of the band who has a silly nickname, who doesn't write a lot of their songs, making a pretty silly song about an animal with a garden.
Yeah.
The garden thing isn't even the main point of comparison I have here. It's not even the most important part of this comparison. They're both whimsical songs that are perhaps more whimsical than they are good.
I really like Octopus's Garden, and I really like the Garden Goblin.
I really like Octopus's Garden, and I think that Garden Goblin is okay.
Okay.
I think it's one of the weaker songs on the album, but I don't
No. I already think you're judging it in the wrong way.
But I don't think it's bad because I think, like I said, the strength of it is that it is whimsical.
Yes.
Right? When I said more whimsical than good, perhaps, which is its strength.
Okay.
Is literally the next part of my note here.
Okay.
It is meant to be a silly, upbeat song that is silly.
Yeah.
And that's what it is.
I saw a comment on KGLW.net that said, the song is a short, whimsical track comparable to early Syd Barrett and features a drum machine, sound effects, and unique synth parts throughout. And my question there was, is Syd Barrett known for whimsical tracks? Because I only know him from his work with, like, Pink Floyd. And when I think of Pink Floyd, I'm thinking about, like, Dark Side and The Wall.
Well, Dark Side and The Wall both came well after Syd Barrett was no longer part of Pink Floyd.
Oh!
Syd Barrett had a mental breakdown because of drugs.
Okay.
Really, really early on during his time with Pink Floyd.
Okay.
And so he was no longer a part of the band after their, I can't remember for sure. He did at least one album with them, but I don't know if he even did a second. Pretty much all of Pink Floyd's famous work is post Syd Barrett. And a lot of their work is, in fact, inspired by Syd Barrett and his struggles. So, like, the song Shine On You Crazy Diamond from Wish You Were Here is directly a tribute to Syd Barrett.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. That song is about Syd Barrett and his mental breakdown and what it was like to go from playing music with him to not really being around him anymore and how they wish him the best. Pink Floyd, also famously for being a super psychedelic band, was also not really big on drugs, which was particularly weird in the, 70s and 60s that they were making music. And a lot of that was due to they watched Syd Barrett destroy himself with drugs and kind of just got too afraid from that.
Okay, so I'm seeing now what Pink Floyd's first ever single was. And comparing Syd Barrett's whimsy to the Garden Goblin makes a little bit more sense.
Yeah.
Pink Floyd's first single is a song about stealing women's underwear from clotheslines.
Yeah.
Okay. This is making more sense to me now.
They have not always been the band you know of from Dark Side of the Moon and The Wall.
Okay. Yes. I'm with you now. I understand. So what is the Garden Goblin about? I mean, we did allude earlier to Homer.
So in Gimme 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 magazine, Cookie writes, or Cookie says, recently I wrote a song for Giz called Garden Goblin. It's about gardening. It's about Homer in the garden. He looks like a bit of a goblin. He loves being out there. When he was growing up and was a puppy, we lived in share houses and apartments, so we never really had a backyard. He loves when I go out there to garden. He follows me around. Homer is Cookie's French bulldog.
Fantastic.
Yeah, it's about his dog.
How can you hate that? How could anybody hate that? This is joy.
If you have ever listened to Cookie's band Pipe Eye,
yes,
the album Inside Outside has a picture of Homer on the cover.
Fascinating.
Cookie has said, I've written lots of songs. I write them all and send them to Giz and Murlocs, and they'll take one or two, and I'll make a Pipe Eye album from what's left.
That's really interesting, and it shows where Cook's priorities are.
Yeah, it does seem like he knows that both Murlocs and Giz are, obviously way bigger bands than Pipe Eye. And in my opinion, they're both much better bands than Pipe Eye.
Well,
I don't really like the one Pipe Eye record that I've actually heard in full.
I need to give it another try.
I probably should give it more of a try. And Garden Goblin does feel like a Pipe-Eye song. I think perhaps even more than the other Cookie tracks that we've heard from Giz.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think that's a bad thing. Like you said, right? The whimsy is good. The silliness is good. And I think it's, nice, and it has some levity, especially after a song like The Evilest Man. And you know what? Like, I like puppies, and gardening is like calm. And actually, I don't think gardening is calm. To me, it would be aggravating, and
I hate gardening.
I think it would be a horrible hobby for myself. But for the people that like it,
sure.
It's this like pleasant, idyllic countryside image. I can picture him in his, little place in the countryside just outside of Melbourne. He's got a little backyard garden, which his little French bulldog likes to go and tear up. And he gets, annoyed, but he loves his dog. And it's just cute. It's cute.
It's just cute. And this is a cute song. And that's primarily what I have to say about it. It's a cute song. But also, this song points out the biggest crime that Giz has ever committed.
Oh, what's that?
They don't have a fucking music video for this song.
Okay, that would be so adorable.
I need a high-budget music video for the Garden Goblin.
With Homer starring as himself?
Or an animated Homer. I'm fine with it if it's animated.
I hope that Homer's still around.
Oh, there's no way to know.
I don't want to think about that. I mean, it's only 4 years ago, so probably.
Probably.
What I love about the Garden Goblin is that the rest of the band fully commits.
Yes.
And that's something that I like, and is also sort of a comparison to Octopus's Garden as well, is it feels like Cookie came and sent this song to the band, and they could have easily said, this doesn't really sound like a Giz song.
Right.
And that's the same with, the Sadie Sorceress and the Grim Reaper hip hop tracks. Like, obviously there's no such thing as what a Giz song has to sound like because they do so many different things. But like, everybody in the band fully commits to their roles, and the rest of the band is singing on the bridge of the Garden Goblin, fully committing to this silly song about a dog gardening. A dog ruining the gardening.
Sure. A dog gardening. Can you imagine?
I don't know. Have you ever gardened?
I have, actually. Let's talk about that. I used to grow tomatoes and peppers and all of that fun stuff in our garden in Wisconsin. And do you know what I managed to get out of it? Strawberries and mint.
Okay, well, anybody can grow strawberries and mint. Even I could grow strawberries and mint.
Apparently the previous homeowner had grown strawberries and mint, which is how I...
Why? If you're going to plant anything, why would you deliberately plant strawberries and mint? I can understand growing strawberries and mint because you're kind of forced to because they're already there. But
half of our yard...
Never, ever deliberately plant strawberries or mint.
Half of our yard was ground cover strawberries.
Yeah, no shit.
Yeah, because they got fucking out of hand.
Yeah, no shit. Because strawberries and mint are some of the most fucking, like, I don't know.
Weeds.
They're weeds.
They're weeds.
Like, if plants could fuck like bunnies, it would be strawberries and mint.
It would be strawberries and mint.
And like fucking that kudzu plant that's taking over half of the world.
Sure.
But like, never, ever plant strawberries and mint. I don't care how much you like mojitos. Do not plant strawberries and mint. You will regret it.
Yeah, I leaned into it while we had that house.
You have to if you're already stuck with it.
I feel bad for the people who came in after us because they're stuck with it too.
There are worse things about living in northern Wisconsin.
There are worse things about living in northern Wisconsin. And now we get to move on to another song, and this song is what I am going to do when I'm having a bad time at Field of Vision.
Blame it on the weather.
That's right. Blame it on the weather. It is an Ambi, Stu, Joey, Cavs song. 4 writers on this one, which is, quite frankly, a mess.
Stu and Ambi trade verses throughout this song, which is, nice and fun.
Yeah.
We have, again, strong rhythm section, bass and drums. There's a mellotron that doubles the melody, which, very classic Giz. We've talked about that a ton.
One of their favorite tropes.
And there's some really good harmony between Stu and Ambi, with Ambi, of course, getting the high part.
Always, yeah.
Yeah.
I wouldn't give Ambi any other part.
I mean, yeah, that's why he made I'm Not a Man If I Don't I'm not a man unless I have a woman from way back in Float Along Fill Your Lungs.
That was what, 2014?
2013.
Okay.
Yeah, so, they've been making Ambi the girl for 9 years at that point.
Yep. This is the slowest forced feminization I have ever seen. We need to cut through the bullshit and Dorley this man.
Oh, God. You haven't read Dorley.
I haven't read Dorley, and I'm not going to.
I have no interest in that. Force femme is not for me. You can just choose to be a woman. If you want to be a woman, just be a woman. Don't wait for somebody else to do it for you. Force femme is bullshit. Femme yourself. Self femme is where it's at. Auto femme.
Auto femme. Blame It on the Weather is
self-femmelate.
Self-femmelate. God damn it. Blame It on the Weather has two things going for it melodically. The vocal line and the bass line.
And the mellotron that doubles the vocal.
And the mellotron that doubles the vocal. But, there's not a lot of melodic content in the song overall. It's really leaning on its vocal.
It's pretty repetitive. We get, just sort of a pretty similar, melodic contour.
Yeah.
Repeated throughout, and a very repetitive outro that's maybe a little bit longer than it needs to be. We've got a guitar solo, which honestly, I kind of stopped noticing after the first time I listened to the song.
Yeah, I wrote down that the guitar solo was fine, but forgettable.
But there is something fun about how they made this song.
How did they make this song?
Joey recorded the slide guitar with a battery for a slide.
I forgot that there was slide guitar on here.
And I don't think it's necessarily a great idea to use a battery as a guitar slide.
For a few reasons, actually.
But, okay, kind of fun, I guess.
Fun. Yeah.
I mean, probably shouldn't, but cool. I'm glad you're still alive.
There is a music video for this song, which is just a studio performance video. I bring it up because it's a different recording. It is them performing it in studio. And so you hear things a little bit differently. And I liked the guitar solo a lot better in the video version. Overall, I like the video version more than the album version. But the guitar solo especially stands out way more in the video.
Yeah, I think that I personally find this song to be one of the weakest on the album, if not the weakest. Not because it's bad, but just because compared to kind of everything else, it's kind of forgettable.
Yeah, I think there are three forgettable songs on this album. I'm not going to call them the weakest songs, but the three most forgettable songs are Blame It on the Weather, Red Smoke, and The Funeral.
And I disagree about Red Smoke and The Funeral.
Okay.
I don't think that Blame It on the Weather is bad, per se. It's just kind of on an album with 16 tracks, on an album that's already nearly an hour and 20 minutes long.
Yeah.
This song just kind of doesn't do much for me. And
the way that I view this song is that in an album full of bangers, this is the point where you can catch up on notifications.
Yeah, it's not bad. It just is there in a way where it doesn't need to be because everything else is better.
Yeah.
And
although I think Ambi would kill this live, and I would love to see it live because I think Ambi would fucking smoke it out of the water.
Now that I believe, because I love Ambi's live performances. I think that they fuck. I think that they're great.
We should really see the Murlocs.
Love that energy. I mean, if they ever tour again,
yeah.
If they ever release new music, if they ever tour again, Murlocs, please get back together and do more. You make great music, and I would love to see you live.
Yeah.
Blame It on the Weather. It's a song about, denying responsibility or accountability for your own actions.
Yeah, it talks about using drugs as the method for that. It mentions going into a K-hole or whatever.
It's, about denial. Okay. I wish I had more to say about this song.
I don't have anything to say about this song.
Quite frankly, that's kind of the reason it's forgettable, is there just isn't much to say about it. It may be a matter of too many cooks in the kitchen. I don't think so, because frequently when they have lots of artists, lots of writers on the same song, it ends up being pretty great. And obviously, also, it can't be too many cooks in the kitchen because Cook isn't one of the writers.
I think that this song would have worked a lot better on its own record.
Yeah, there were probably ways to make this song work much better than it did, or at least a little bit better than it did. And again, it's not a bad song. Like, it's honestly a pretty good song. The harmony between Stu and Ambi works really well. I love the different vocal textures that those two singers bring. But just everything else on the album is better.
Yeah.
And it's notable.
Yeah. It's wild that this one got a music video.
To the extent that it's a music video.
To the extent that it's a music video. Okay, well, we've been here for an hour and 52 minutes, and I think it's safe to say that at this point, baby, we've got persistence.
And we better, because it is 80 degrees in our apartment, and we still have 7 songs left to talk about.
We can go the distance.
Persistence, Cookie and Stu. And this song is a lot more like a Giz sounding song than The Garden Goblin was. This doesn't feel like it was a song that was sort of shopped around to the Murlocs and to Giz and ended up, barely not being on a Pipe Eye album or anything like that. This feels like a Giz song, which
is why it's so wild that Cook didn't write it for Giz.
No, he wrote it for the Murlocs. Or he wrote it and sent it first to Ambi for Murlocs. And Ambi liked it, and it was going to use it. The instrumental was written by Cookie for the Murlocs album Calm Ya Farm. But then he forgot he did that, and a couple of days later, he showed the demo to Stu. And when Ambi walked into the studio, he says this in a Rolling Stone interview that he did for Murlocs. He says he walks into the Giz studio and sees that Stu has not only already written lyrics, but was in the middle of recording vocals for this song that he had already been shopped.
Talk about like a testament to how quickly Stu works.
Oh, God, yeah. I mean, that man is relentless. He has persistence. Cookie ends up writing the song Common Sense Civilian for Murlocs to make up for that mistake, which he felt bad about. So, hey, we got another Murloc song out of it.
And we got this incredible song about fucking.
Yeah, it's about fucking, which is just fucking wild because this is probably the most innuendo I've ever seen this band use.
Yeah.
Like, normally they're a very straightforward band. They are writing a bunch of songs about the environment, and they do not use a whole lot of metaphor. They use some metaphor, but they're pretty clear about what they're about. They don't use as much. They're not like a nuance-based band.
Right.
And they're not a hidden meaning-based band, except for maybe Ambergris.
Sure.
Ambergris. I always forget that you actually pronounce the S on ambergris.
I forget that too. I've been calling it ambergris the entire time, and I know that somebody in the comments is going to get mad at me, and I'm so sorry. I promise you I'm doing my best.
Nobody's going to get mad in our comments because nobody ever writes comments. No,
so
we get like
we get
3
comments.
We get like 3 comments. We get more comments on YouTube than anywhere else, which is weird because we only get like 1 YouTube comment every 2 months.
Yeah. I mean, we get comments in Discord.
Sometimes, yeah. Okay, that's true. Anyway, we like comments. Yay, comments. But yes, Ambergris, a little bit harder to understand. Interior People, also a Joey song, was like that. But this is a very innuendo song. Not really a metaphor song. It is an innuendo.
Yeah, this is an innuendo song. Like,
it's a double entendre song.
The chorus is, "Oh baby, I got persistence. Keep pushing like the Ford motor pistons. I'm an automatic transmission. I hold the pole position. Yeah, I go the distance."
I wonder what a pole is.
A pole could be anything.
Could be anything.
It really could be. There's no way to know what that's about.
So yeah, Stu wrote a song about sex, and we don't get a lot of those. Well, Stu wrote the lyrics.
Stu wrote the lyrics. Okay.
Yeah. So he wrote, a song about sex, and that's just not normal for Giz. That's very much out of their wheelhouse. And I think it had a real good chance to be bad because of it, and it's not.
Yeah.
And I think I know why it's not.
Why?
Because of that moment where everything sort of cuts out and it changes. I think I went too fast.
Oh, for verse 2, yeah, you did.
And that verse, I think, makes the song work.
And that verse introduces an idea that I really like, which is that the car can fly. We're going full chitty chitty bang bang up in this bitch. Let's go.
Yeah, I think that it's essentially what he's doing here is like, oh yeah, I'm this, powerful alpha, like super like raw dude who can just
It's not about being alpha anymore. You got to be on that Sigma grind set.
Whatever. And like I can just fuck. And then when the song changes there, it goes, okay, hey, maybe that's not actually a good thing. Maybe that's not actually what it's all about. Maybe we shouldn't just be a car engine just being persistent and going over and over and over. And maybe we need to like take it easy and like float and fly.
Right. It's like Tenacious D says, you don't always got to fuck her hard.
Right. Sometimes you got to fuck her gently.
Yeah.
And that I feel like without being, as direct as the Tenacious D song is kind of what's going on here. I love that slower call and response, funkier section. And I think that makes the song work instead of being just kind of gross.
Sure. Because it is easy to make songs about sex gross.
Especially if you're just doing it as a bunch of innuendo, and it's just not what you come to Giz for.
No, it's not. And this still works. This still works as a Giz song.
And especially after the album where, like, Stu is singing all this lovely stuff about his daughter.
Yeah.
Like, this is a man that has matured a lot over the, 12 years of the band at this point. And it would be weird if on their 20th studio LP, they're releasing their first, like, yeah, you gotta fuck
Yeah,
song.
get Steve Albini in here. Let's get some songs about fucking. Yeah, let's go.
And so it was, I couldn't understand for a while why I liked this song, even though it's not sexy in the way certainly like Ambergris is sexy.
No, it's a different sexy.
But I think it's because it's not just like, oh yeah, we got to hammer away. Yeah.
Yeah.
It teases that and pulls back.
Like good sex.
That's right.
Because
we on this show make everything a lot more about sex than the band actually does.
That's not true. We're very restrained. We take care of ourselves. We're responsible podcasters.
But nice, like steady drums, very rhythm guitar heavy
let's talk about those drums.
Instead of very lead guitar. Like again, they're like being really steady with the drums and the bass and the rhythm guitar. We're really, really emphasizing the persistence in the song, right? It's music that's doing what the lyrics say.
Yeah. And I did want to talk about the drums because Amy from Stonefield plays on this.
Yeah.
Which is
not
so rare.
Yeah. Amy Finley is Cavs' wife, and we've talked about her a few times before on this show, including when we talked about Chunky Shrapnel, and she and some of her bandmates jumped on the stage during one of the performances
of A Brief History of Planet Earth.
That got immortalized as A Brief History of Planet Earth on Chunky Shrapnel. She was also apparently 40 weeks pregnant when recording.
That's fucked
Which
up.
is so fucked up. Like,
that's pretty fucking pregnant.
Cavs, you could do the drums. Why are you making your wife record this at 40 weeks?
No. I'm not going to say that Amy was made to do anything. My guess is Amy was very much game for this.
I am sure. Like maybe this will mean that the baby comes. Maybe if I play really loud drums, it'll mean the baby comes. Yeah, no, I have no doubt that she was not actually forced. I just think it's really funny to imagine Cavs like insisting on his extraordinarily pregnant wife to do it instead.
Of course.
But I am sure that Cavs is a good wife and father. I very nearly said
Say
good
that
wife.
again?
I am sure that Cavs is a very good... Oh, God, I said wife. I almost said wife and mother, and now I know why I almost said wife and mother. It's because wife shouldn't have been there.
No.
I'm sure that Cavs is a very good husband and father.
There we go.
God damn.
There we go.
Cavs isn't even the one I want to transition.
Oh.
The hair would work, though.
So I guess at this point, it behooves us to move on because we are running out of time.
Everybody expects a long episode from a long album.
That's true, but let's roll forward a little bit to a song that was written by Stu, Joey, Ambi, and Heinz Funk.
Yeah, this is the Grim Reaper. This is the second of 2 hip-hop tracks. Again, way better rapping than anything we got on Made in Timeland. Just, honestly, this is better than Sadie Sorceress. There's also really great flute throughout.
Oh my God.
The flute.
The first time that he picked up that flute and started going hard, I cackled.
Yeah, flute kicks
the flute
ass.
is so good in this song, and I'm so happy to see the flute coming out on stage in 2022 because it does feel like the flute's been neglected a little bit.
Yeah, and we've still gotten the flute live a decent chunk of times, but like on the actual albums, we don't get the flute so much anymore. And
No.
I think that flute works so well with rock music and apparently also with hip hop.
Yeah. The flute is used so well in this song. Like, that's my takeaway from the song, is that the flute is great.
Yeah, we also get lots of gongs.
Yeah. I said in the last episode I was going to call out every gong that they ever did because I thought the gongs were so nice. I'm not going to do that.
We have the song is about just the Grim Reaper. It's the Shrimpomaniac. Ambi is performing as the Grim Reaper.
Yes.
From his perspective. Again, it's kind of silly, but not maybe as silly as Sadie Sorceress. It's another, he actually has talent as a rapper and rap lyricist, presuming that he's the one responsible for the lyrics here. But Ambi, Stu, and Joey are all credited as writers, so it may have been a group effort here.
Yeah.
The sample that this is based around, it's a slowed down sample from Heinz Funk's In the Orient, which was released on the album National Flavors by Kai Martin and His Sounds in 1974. My real only complaint with the Grim Reaper, and I'm not even sure if it's a complaint, it's just something that I think is awkward,
Yeah.
is that it ends extremely suddenly with keys, and just the transition into Presumptuous, the next track, feels off-putting to me.
Sure.
But honestly, I think this is the strongest of the hip hop or rap that we've gotten from the band so far.
Oh, easily.
And I like Sadie Sorceress, but the Grim Reaper clears.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, Sadie
It's the flute.
Sorceress.
It's the
Sadie
flute.
Sorceress is good because of the samples of the grandma.
Yeah. And
Grim Reaper's good because of the flute. Like,
Yeah.
they both have that like one distinct thing that makes you go, okay, but what about?
yeah, absolutely. The flute just kicks ass, and the hip hop, the rap itself is just, it's really good. It's performed well, and
It's a strong performance. It's got strong backup performances by the rest of the band. It just feels right.
We talked a little bit about the live performance at Bonnaroo when we covered Sadie Sorceress, so we're not going to repeat ourselves there, but it's just, he's got a stage presence that I would not really expect to be as good as it is, given that he's kind of an awkward guy when you see him. And he's kind of awkward on stage too, but he makes it work for him.
Yes.
And you know what? It's fun, but it's also good on top of being fun.
Yes. And that's important.
Presumptuous. Ambi
So
and Stu.
presumptuous.
The keys and the flute continue on from the last track. The percussion sounds kind of like a tabla here.
Sure. I wrote down right away, the first time I listened through, my first comment was, I think I'm bored after the hype party that was the Grim Reaper.
Interesting. I
completely disagree
don't
with that
agree
now.
with that, yeah.
I completely disagree with that now. But on that first listen through, I went from all that energy of the Grim Reaper, pulling the tempo down to Presumptuous, and like shifting back into this song just feels so different.
Yeah, and I think that part of that is kind of what I'm alluding to with the end of the Grim Reaper just feeling very sudden.
Sure.
It is I think a weak transition.
Yeah, for a band that's known for really strong transitions, this isn't their strongest.
But Presumptuous itself, I think, is very good. And it pulls from inspiration that I think is somewhat unusual for the band. It's been inspired by Mambo Number 5 by Lou Bega.
Rob Thomas.
Rob Thomas, Len, and Santana.
Yeah.
So I mentioned Santana earlier with the guitar solo from Gaia, but it's even clearer that the guitar solos on Presumptuous are very Santana-inspired.
Except for how they're mixed into the mix, which they are buried in the mix here, and I don't understand why that is.
It's odd, sure, but they're good solos.
They're good solos. It's a good song. It's a sexy song.
One of the weirdest things about this song is that the flute is being played by Joey instead of Stu.
Is it really?
Yep.
What?
The flute credit is Joey on Presumptuous.
That's wild.
It's fucking wild, right? Who would have
I didn't know he could
guessed?
play.
Neither did I. Turns out. Stu said in Spin Magazine here, Ambi sent me a demo of that when we were in lockdown, and I was like, this is sick. This is the recording. He said, what? This is the demo. I was like, no, this is the recording.
That ended up being the intro part, and we added the jam later.
That's right. But I think my favorite bit of trivia about this song is that there is a credit given to Madeline Wright, drummer of the band The Bush, which is the band that features Joey's sister Bella Walker and Ambi's sister and Joey's girlfriend Edith Kenny Smith. What's weird about that credit is that it's a credit for Party.
Party!
They're just a bunch of party sounds that are heard throughout the song starting minute and a half, 2 minutes in. And I guess she's making the party sounds?
Sure.
Which, like, hell yeah, cool.
Somebody's got to.
Yeah. I think this is, just sort of a classic Ambi Giz song.
Yeah.
It's interesting that it's kind of was mostly complete in the demo stage. And I'd be interested to hear that demo and how it differs because, okay, we added the jam later and the original was the intro part almost verbatim. I'd be very curious to see how that developed, and I don't know if we get a Presumptuous demo on any
Demos
of the...
7.
Okay. That's going to be a while, but I am interested. I'm very excited for that. I hope that I remember how excited I am for that.
Yeah. Yeah. And then if that's all we've got for Presumptuous, we can move on to
Predator X.
Predator X. It's Stu by himself.
Yeah, this is the second metal track on the album, the last metal track on the album. This one is very thrash metal.
This is what many fans would consider to be the weakest metal track in the Giz discography, I think.
It sounds a lot like Rat's Nest. It reminded me a lot of Planet B specifically, but when I went back and listened to Planet B, it was less of a direct copy, not copy per se. That sounds worse than I mean it. But it feels a little bit less like Planet B than I initially thought. But that was definitely my main thought the first time I heard it. But there is just a little bit of Planet B that is almost directly used again here. But there is a direct quote of something off of Rat's Nest. There is a direct quote of the main riff of Perihelion.
Yes.
Which draws that link directly to that earlier thrash album. And I would have liked to, I think, see them do something a little bit more different than what they did. Mm-hmm. I don't think it's a bad track.
It's not a bad track, but it's not bringing much new to the table.
Right. And I think that moment where it quotes Perihelion ends up, instead of feeling like an epic callback, just kind of going, oh, okay.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure why. Like,
yeah, I agree.
I don't know what's missing from this track, but it doesn't feel like it has the energy that it deserves.
I would agree with that. There's something about this track that isn't quite as good as the rest of the metal stuff, and I don't know why.
And especially for a track that really ought to be, thematically very much in the Giz wheelhouse, because it's Predator X is the nickname of Plesiosaurus funke.
I believe it's pronounced Funke.
I think that's Arrested Development.
Shit.
Which was a Jurassic or Cretaceous era marine reptile that was discovered in 2009 in Svalbard. Kind of like a gigantic gator, essentially, is what you should picture this as. Not exactly, because this was, tens of millions of years ago, not quite gator, and we obviously don't have, exact knowledge of what this thing looked like or how it how it acted because it was Jurassic Cretaceous era. I don't believe it technically counts as a dinosaur.
I'm seeing Plesiosaurus.
Yeah, that's the sort of grouping of animals here.
But just because it says saurus, that doesn't mean it's a dinosaur.
Not necessarily, but I don't remember because it's been a long time since I was a 5-year-old boy. Every 5-year-old boy goes through a dinosaur phase.
I didn't.
You didn't?
No.
Weird. Did you go through like a truck phase? Astronauts?
I went through a music phase.
Your music phase never ended.
My music phase started when I was 3, when I was forced to play violin, and it never ended.
The Suzuki method, it'll get you.
The Suzuki method, it'll get you.
So, yeah, I don't remember exactly what defines a dinosaur and what doesn't. I don't think it technically counts as a dinosaur, but I could be wrong. But it's kind of gator-like, which would fit the band well with the Gizzy Gator, with Evil Death Roll. Like, this was a gigantic, dangerous, kind of gator-like predator. Giz should be able to do an awesome fucking metal song about that.
Right.
And they ended up just kind of ripping themselves off.
Yeah, they did, and it's not great. It's the thing that they're clearly playing with on this record with their metal tracks is they're clearly playing with chugging, and they're trying to like figure out how to make chugging a bigger part of what they're doing. But you can't build a song around just chugging unless you're Meshuggah. And it gets boring, and you have to find a way to evolve it, and it's really hard to evolve it, and it's really hard to make it interesting over an extended period of time. Like, if you're August Burns Red, you can throw in a giant chugging breakdown in the middle of a 6-minute progressive metal song because you have the rest of the song to hold it up, and you can do 45 seconds of just chugging, and people are going to be like, okay, that's cool because it's going somewhere else. But when you're doing it in the context of something like Predator X, it's not going somewhere else. There's nowhere else for it to go. And so it's just taking these really simple ideas and hammering on them until they reach their, like, the end of what they're capable of doing. We've tapped them out. And then there's nowhere to go.
Right.
And there's no song.
Right.
Because you didn't evolve anything.
Right. So the energy never really builds.
Right. It's so frustrating. It's like mid-tier Metallica.
I do think it's better than anything I heard on Injustice for All.
Oh, I don't think that's true, but
I really didn't like Injustice for All.
Injustice is not their best record, but there are some standouts on it.
All right, let's move on to what I would say the next 3 songs, the last 3 songs of the album, really ought to be seen or discussed kind of together.
As like a final suite almost.
Right, and the last 2 in particular definitely fit together pretty directly, but I think all 3 of them have climate change as a theme. They're all slower than Predator X, and so have this sort of, you know, we end the album slow and very melodic and very righteously angry about climate change without letting that anger make it into an angry song.
Sure.
And so Red Smoke was written just by Ambi, Candles and The Funeral just by Stu. We'll talk about them separately, but I think it's important to treat them as though they belong together because they really do. And they flow much nicer into one another than really anything else on this record flows from song to song. So starting with Red Smoke, which is a very Ambi track.
It's such an Ambi track. And it is, for my money, the most forgettable track on the album.
I strongly disagree with that.
I know you do. And I'd love to hear your thoughts on it because I couldn't find a way in. I couldn't find
I mean
anything to talk about. I couldn't figure it out.
Instantly, that Red Smoke it just gets stuck in my head. It's not forgettable because I remember it. Unlike Blame It on the Weather. It has like 7/4 as its primary time signature, which kind of I'm confused because Lucas had said on Reddit that this is the hardest song on Omnium Gatherum to play, and I'm kind of confused because I don't hear it. Why? Maybe it's the time signature, but like they're used to weird time signatures. This one isn't even polyrhythmic or fast. Like 7/4 isn't a super easy time signature, but it's feels like it shouldn't trip them up at this point in their careers. But like we've got light acoustic guitar, we've got some piano. I think it's a lovely sounding song, but it's not about something lovely. It's about bushfires again.
Right.
Which is something that we've heard from them before, like on Anoxia, back on Flying Like a Eternal Banana, along with a bunch of their other environmental songs.
See, I had thought that this was a song about electing a communist pope.
God, that's a dumb joke. Like, I don't think it's quite as memorable as Candles, but I certainly don't think it's as forgettable as Blame It on the Weather. It's, I think, an intro to the end of the album.
Yes.
And I think it serves a really good role there. I don't know. It just, I don't know how to say, like, this, it's memorable to me for this reason, other than just, like, it sticks in my head. I remember it.
No, that's so fair. It just didn't for me.
I really wonder why.
I wish it did.
I wonder why it bounced off. Because to me, the melody is, it's notable. It's very lyrical, and it's something that I think it sticks with me more than some of the ones that, instantly stuck with you, that I maybe don't get stuck in my head quite as much. But I can't really explain why, other than just, like, it's got a catchy melody to me.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Yeah, I like it. I wish I liked it more.
Candles, which I know you love.
Candles is not the best song on the record. Candles is not my favorite song on the record. Candles is the most danceable song on the record.
Wild.
It makes me want to move. Candles, from the beginning, makes you go, yeah, let's go. Like it feels just so good in my soul.
Do you listen to a lot of bossa nova?
Never.
Do you think you should? Because this has a very bossa nova feel. And so if, like, this makes you want to move, maybe you should listen to more bossa nova.
I really like the echoes of candles throughout the song. Like, every time, like, set the funeral on fire with the candles. Yeah, like I love those little, like, drop backs. It's so cute. It's so fun.
I think you should listen to more bossa nova.
I should maybe listen to more bossa nova, because this worked for me in a way that very few songs on this album worked for me, and I liked most of this record.
I think this is a very good song. I like it, and I think more people should talk about Candles. Because I don't really hear anybody ever talk about Candles.
Nobody talks about Candles. I've seen one person in Discord go, oh yeah, Candles is my favorite on the record. But only one person.
But I don't think I've ever seen... I would never have expected this to be one of your big takeaway songs from this album.
I wouldn't have either.
I think you got to listen to more bossa.
Probably.
More bossa nova.
Yeah. I don't know. It's danceable. It's fun. It's
bright and upbeat.
And, yeah.
The background vocals sound like Tezita to me.
A little bit.
Which, again, makes sense because both the sort of Ethiopian jazz of Tezita and the, Brazilian bossa nova feel here, have some of that same origins in jazz music. If you are an actual jazz historian or a historian of bossa nova, don't come at me. I know I said something bullshit there, but you know what I'm trying to say. So if you don't know what I'm trying to say, learn more about bossa nova yourself, because you'll actually learn better if I don't tell you wrong things.
Yeah. That's so fair.
But the history of the relationship between bossa nova and jazz isn't actually that simple.
The first time I tried to sing this song.
Yeah.
We were, like, sitting in bed together or something, and I tried to sing the song, and what I actually sang was, in fact, Feel It Still.
By Portugal the Man.
By Portugal the Man.
Yeah, you had been saying for a couple of days, Candles really reminds me of something. I'm not going to tell you what, of course, because, we're going to save that for the podcast. I'm not going to tell you what, but it really reminds me of this specific other song. And I was like, all right. And then you started singing a bit of it, and I went, and I completed the lyric.
Yeah.
Like, it's 1966, yeah.
Yeah.
I think that was the lyric that I completed, which is not a song I know well and would not have been able to tell you the name or the artist of, but I just heard it enough to ambiently know the song.
Right, and this reminds me of Feel It Still, but it also reminds me of another song.
Right, because you did not recognize that that Portugal the Man song at first. When I said that, you're like, oh my God, it does remind me of that, but it hadn't been the song that you were referring to.
Correct, because the song I was referring to, and we can move on from this real quick, we don't need to linger or dwell on this, was Thunder by Imagine Dragons.
Which I listened to specifically after Noel mentioned that so that I could try to see, does it sound like that? And it doesn't even a tiny bit. I have
not remotely
no idea why it could possibly remind you of Thunder by Imagine Dragons or Thunder remind you of Candles, because I don't think there is a moment of either song that sounds
makes sense
anything
in my
like
head.
the other. And I wish you could possibly explain that in a way that would make sense. So please go ahead.
And then we move into The Funeral.
Candles is another song about climate change. It's about politicians ignoring policies that could help with climate change and instead just like relying on faith, or at least pretending to use faith as this cop-out for ignoring climate change. You know, it's another upbeat, really downer song from Giz.
Yep.
Not like we've ever gotten any of those
I love
before.
an upbeat downer song. I've been saying it for years. It's why I love ska so much.
And then finally, The Funeral, which you could really just sort of treat as an outro to Candles. If Red Smoke is sort of an intro, The Funeral is sort of an outro.
Yeah.
And like all three songs are different, but thematically they're all similar.
And The Funeral is Stu.
The Funeral is Stu. It has yet another vibe that we haven't heard from the band before. We move from the bossa nova of Candles to flamenco.
Which is wild.
Yeah.
It works. In context, it definitely works.
But it is wild. And the only lyric is The Funeral.
Which I clicked on that lyric in Genius, and it gave me the note, this song is about a funeral.
Genius stays winning. But The Funeral was also alluded to in Candles.
Yes.
And the idea here being we are killing the earth. And so it is all of our funerals.
Yes.
So The Funeral is just really sitting on that idea and hammering it home. We are killing ourselves. We are killing the earth. This is all of our funerals. This is the end. And it ends with a 60 beat per minute metronome, just like Made in Timeland, counting us towards our funeral.
Goddamn.
One last thing I have to say about this record.
Yeah.
This is also the era where Stu announced to the world his no repeats policy for touring.
Yeah.
In that same Spin article that we have been referencing several times, this is where he talks about how he is deliberately choosing not to play the same song that he has played the most recent time he was in a given city.
He mentions his obsession with setlist.fm.
Yes. And that he won't play any repeats if they're, doing a couple of nights in the same town. So that is not just something that like has come to be. That was something that was a deliberate choice that Stu actively worked to change about the way they did shows. And it was this in, the middle of 2022 that they began that.
Really when they started to become a more jam band.
That's right. And I think that's part of why people treat 2022 as the beginning of their jam band era. Even though they were jamming earlier than that at their shows, they
hadn't fully
are now embracing the jam band ethos of a different show every night, like, The Dead.
Right.
Of set lists that you cannot predict, of set lists that you can, tour with the band and never have a similar experience.
Right, which is great. I love that. I think that's beautiful and brilliant. And I'm so glad that they made that change.
Yeah. So, Noel.
Yeah.
What have you been listening to?
This week, I have been listening to all their greatest hits. Disc 1, 1991 through 2001 by Bare Naked Ladies.
I can't believe you're listening to a greatest hits record. That's not like you at all.
It's not like me at all. However, it really is a great look at that first decade of Bare Naked Ladies' career. And sometimes when you're at work and you're just trying to be a crowd pleaser, you want to put on a greatest hits record. And that's where I was this week. I was pulling 10-hour days at work, pulling steel out of the like ceiling of a theater, because we tore down the lighting grid in a decommissioned theater, and then we're rebuilding a new lighting grid in a new well, not in a new theater, in an existing theater. And so we've taken all this Schedule 40 steel 2-inch pipe out of the air in 21-foot sections, so it's heavy as shit. And we're pulling all of this steel out of the air on personnel lifts, and it's awful, and it's horrible work. And the one thing that you don't want during that is anything that's going to be challenging you musically or making it hard to hear other people. So I went for the safest thing I could think of, which was Canadian alt rock.
I like Bare Naked Ladies.
I love Bare Naked Ladies. They're a great band. But they were also the best, safest option for what I was doing at work this week. And so that's what I've been listening to is Bare Naked Ladies. What have you been listening to?
What I want to call out this week is Man Woman Chainsaw's new album that came out just a couple of days ago called Cannonball.
You started listening to that last night while I was napping. And I immediately took note of it because it sounded cool as shit.
Yeah, so this is a London-based art rock, post-punk, indie rock band. They've been around since 2019. They put out an EP a couple years ago and have put out a couple of singles over the years. But just the other day, they put out, at least at the time of recording, by the time you hear it, who knows how long it's been.
Yeah, because it's probably going to be a month before you hear this one.
They put out their first studio LP, Cannonball, on August 7th, just 2 days before we are recording this. It's a really cool album with a lot of varied sounds on it. There's a lot of like Britpop kind of stuff. I recommend it for fans of The Last Dinner Party, but they also have a wide variety of other kind of weirder sounds and influences as well. I would say that it's probably a little bit more narrowed focus than some of their earlier releases, those earlier singles and EP, but still varied sounds, very interesting. The first track, for example, is Led by the Violin.
Yeah, which I loved. I heard that one and I loved it.
Yeah, but there's a bunch of different stuff. There's a fun track to call out here, Goddamn Lizard Man, which, you know, given that we're doing a podcast about the Lizard Wizard, you know, I think it's fun to call out. But yeah, give Man Woman Chainsaw's Cannonball a try.
Perfect. And that's all we've got for this week. Come on back in. Okay, so
here's the thing. We don't know what you're going to hear next. What we are going to listen to next are Demos Volume 3 and Volume 4. And Ice Death Planet's Lungs, Mushrooms, and Lava, which we are very excited about. I in particular have been looking forward to Ice Death for a very long time. That's one I've been very excited about. I love jamming rock songs, and also
you love really music theory nerd shit.
And this is a very music theory nerd shit kind of album, from what I know about it, where each track is based around a jam in a different mode of the scale. But we are going to Field Division, and we are driving there starting tomorrow, which means that we are also hoping to
create content.
I hate that phrase, but yes, we are hoping to, you know, talk with some of you at the festival. We are hoping to share some of our own experiences about the festival, and it would be kind of a lot, I think, to have an episode where we talk about the festival on top of talking about an album.
I think that would be insane.
And who knows what we're going to get and what we aren't going to get. Who knows whether we'll be able to make a listenable podcast just because of like sound bleed from everything that's happening, either on the road, on our way down and back, or at the festival. But we're
taking our equipment with us. We are trying to record while we are there.
And we'll see if anything useful comes of it. There may be episode or episodes based on it. There may not be. There may be episodes that come out before Ice Death and Demos. There may be episodes that come out after Ice Death and...
You might just get Field Division plus Demos in one episode so we can do an entire episode on Ice Death. Who knows?
Right. We kind of just don't know what it's going to look like yet. So please stay tuned. By the time you hear this, honestly, you might know, because who knows if you'll even hear this before some of the other stuff.
So, but
Good
yeah,
luck.
your homework is demos volumes 3 and 4 and Ice Death,
Planets,
Lungs,
Ice Death, Planets, Lungs, Mushrooms, and Lava.
Ice Death, Planets, Lungs, Mushrooms, and Lava.
I think I interrupted you when you were correct. But
That's okay.
and also Field of Vision. That's your homework. Go to
Yeah.
Field of Vision.
All right, we will see y'all next time.